Last time on Ludo's Pokémon Stadium video.
Glad to be done with this Pokemon game. You know, I can't really imagine what my life would be without this Pokemon game. But I am finally done, and that's what matters. Ow! What the heck? Pokemon Stadium 2? There's a sequel to this game? You know, I never really got to play this game growing up, so what if I give it a try? Well, round 1 was easy. There's a round 2 in this game as well. What if I got the idea to... yeah, like I'm gonna do that for a video. Unless...
So, Pokémon Stadium is certainly one of the Pokémon games of all time, but it is definitely a significant part of my life. It was my first ever Pokémon game I played when I was 4, and without it, I don't think I would have gotten into the franchise at all. It introduced me to all these wonderful creatures that just had these amazing personalities and battles, and the soundtrack was also very catchy to listen to. Seriously, all they did was just remix most songs from Red, Blue, and Yellow, yet made them sound very distinct. The minigames also kept me intrigued enough to keep playing this game if I wasn't in the mood for the battles that I wasn't very good at. Anyways, I made a video about my Stadium 1 Round 2 playthrough back in August, and while I didn't perform well, I am happy to have just made the video. I never planned on making that video at all when I streamed the game a year ago, which, wow, I can't believe it's been that long already. The reason I made that video out of nowhere was because I wanted to show off how difficult the game is, especially with rentals only. For those who want to see it, it'll be in the description of this video, but TLDR, it's an N64 game meant for you to bring your red, blue, and yellow Pokemon teams over to this 3D battling game. To do this, you need a transfer pack, insert one of those games, and connect it with your N64 controller while playing Stadium. With your transfer team, you must conquer the Gym Leader Castle, all 4 tournament cups, and a final Mewtwo battle for both Round 1 and Round 2. If you don't have a transfer pack, you can use rental Pokemon available to you in every battle mode, which have weak stats and worse moves compared to your opponents. Those rentals are what I used to beat Pokémon Stadium 1 Round 2, and it was insanely difficult. It was a constant fight against RNG as I prayed for all the thunder hits, critical hits, and best teams for my opponents to win every single battle. I even got really lucky with some of the hardest fights in the game, like beating Pokécup Master Ball Psychic and Prime Cup Master Ball Male Cool Trainer on my first try, and only taking 5 tries for the hardest battle in all of Pokemon, Pikacup Fisher. All the good RNG, however, came to an end when I got to the Gym Leader Castle, and by the Elite Four, I ended up taking 35 attempts to beat the league, so I had my fair share of bad luck in the end. Despite these struggles, I was satisfied with everything I provided with Pokémon Stadium. I think I did an excellent job showcasing the game to its sheer difficulty. With all that said, what is next in the realm of Pokémon Stadium? As you saw in the beginning of the video, or the end of the last video, there is a sequel to Pokémon Stadium 1, which is Pokémon Stadium 2. Fun fact about this game, in Japan it is called Pokémon Stadium Gold and Silver, and the original Pokémon Stadium we know here in America is actually called Pokémon Stadium 2 in Japan. The real first Pokémon Stadium game is Japan exclusive. Honestly, I'm glad that game was never released here in America. While this game is difficult, which I like, there's only 42 Pokemon, and that just makes most of the battles repetitive and boring when you're fighting the same Pokemon over and over again. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. From this point on, if I mention Stadium 2 again, I'm referring to America Pokemon Stadium 2. Let's set the record straight here. So, this is the sequel to Pokemon Stadium 1. As you know, Stadium 1 was my main childhood Pokemon game when I was 4, but at that age, I didn't even know there was a sequel to this game. I learned about its existence when I was about 9 years old while I was branching out to other Pokemon games that I never played before, including this one. The moment I heard about Stadium 2, I immediately had to check it out, and honestly I was very interested in what I was witnessing. Pokémon Stadium 2 takes everything Stadium 1 had, but adds more features to make it just as fun as Stadium 1. First off, this game is compatible with not just Red, Blue, and Yellow, but the Gen 2 games Gold, Silver, and Crystal. This means you can transfer the 100 new Johto Pokemon to Stadium 2 and see them in 3D. Next, since we're now Generation 2, battle mechanics from Gold, Silver, Crystal are carried over to this game. What I mean by is that this game is a lot more balanced compared to Stadium 1. For example, in Stadium 1, critical hits were determined by Pokemon's base speed. In this game, every Pokemon has a universal 1 in 16 chance to critical hit. Some moves got buffed and nerfed in this Generation 2, which I'll go over later as the video progresses on. Steel and Dark types are introduced to balance out the broken Psychic and Normal types from the last generation. There's even new moves to make some old and new Pokemon more viable to use. These moves include stronger stab moves like Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball, hidden power to provide some extra coverage, and extra setup moves to perform new strategies like weather moves, entry hazards, and buff screens. The biggest addition to Gen 2, however, is that Pokemon can now hold items to assist themselves in battle. These items include berries that recover HP or status conditions, items that increase type moves, signature items like Thick Club Marowak or Light Ball Pikachu, and leftovers to recover some HP each turn. There is, however, a group of items that will make Stadium 2 a hard game to complete, and those are the Hacks items. These items provide extra RNG on an otherwise straightforward battle. Quick Claw gives the holder a 20% chance to attack first, Bright Powder gives the holder a 10% chance to dodge any attack that checks for accuracy, Focus Band gives the holder a 10% chance to hang on with 1 HP if they were to be KO'd, King's Rock gives the holder a 10% chance to flinch the opposing Pokemon after any attack, and Scope Lens raises the critical hit rate to the holder from 1 to 16 to 1 in 8. The last Hacks item, and exclusive to Generation 2 only, is the Berserk Gene. This is an item that increases the holder's attack by 2 stages, but the holder is confused for the rest of the fight. It's basically the move Swagger, but as an item. It's a high risk, high reward item that can make some fights easy or ridiculously hard. What is funny though is that you can find this item near Cerulean Cave in Gold Silver Crystal, where Mewtwo used to live. Mewtwo is also programmed to always hold Berserk Gene, but the item gets consumed the moment you would battle Mewtwo. And there's not even a wild Mewtwo in those games, so you never know about it unless you found one in a randomizer or something like that. Also, there's no official artwork for the Berserk Gene, so I'm going to be using this little sprite here whenever I fight a Pokemon with Berserk Gene. Credit goes to Sky Lightning Z for making it, and I'll put their link to the image in the description below. Back to the Hacks items, many trainers have Pokemon with these items to make themselves annoyingly difficult, and all you can do is pray they don't activate or you'll likely lose. Even competitive players frown upon these items because they're cheap and unfair. On top of that, you don't even get any of these Hacks items I have mentioned. The only way to get them is by transferring them over from your Gold, Silver, or Crystal games. Otherwise, all you get are one of each of the status carry berries and a regular berry. It's still better than no items, but these 6 berries are not good enough to balance the evilness that is Pokémon Stadium 2. Oh, also because in Gen 2 the names of these berries were different, I'm going to be calling them by their Gen 2 berry names, but I'll be displaying the modern berry images with the Gen 2 berry name right here if you need to know which ones are which. The third big change towards Stadium 2 are the rentals. The rentals in Stadium 1 were not very good for the most part. Most of the time the fully evolved Pokemon had best stats, but bad moves, while the pre-evolution had worse stats, but better moves. Despite that, the best ones were usually fully evolved Pokemon like Jolteon, Articuno, and Zapdos, or middle evolution Pokemon like Kadabra and Graveler. These Pokemon usually had awful movesets and stats compared to your opponents, and the best ones have either high damaging but low accuracy moves like Thunder, Jolteon, Zapdos, and Starmie, or low damaging moves like Psybeam, Kadabra, and Bubble Beam Starmie. In Stadium 2, the rentals are better, I guess? Let me explain. So the old Pokemon for the most part actually got worse. Zapdos still has Thunder but no longer has Substitute and has these random trash moves instead. Jolteon now has Zap Cannon instead of Thunder, so instead of using a move that hits 70% of the time, now I use a move that hits 50% of the time. Great! Articuno has Blizzard now, but it was nerfed from 90 accuracy to 70 in Gen 2. On the other hand, some got way better. Kadabra now has Psychic, Thunder Punch, and Reflect, which all have solid uses throughout the game. Graveler, while Lost Rock Slide, now has a buff Self-Destruct. Starmie has Zap Cannon instead of Thunder, which isn't good, but it also gained a stronger water move in Waterfall over Bubble Beam. There's some other Gen 1 rentals that are buffed in this game, but I'll go over those later. Didn't I say earlier that there were new Pokemon in this game? Let's check out the rental forms of those Pokemon, shall we? Surprisingly, these new Pokemon aren't actually very good. Like, look at some of these rentals. Water Gun for Alligator, Mudslap Steelix, Snore Ursaring, Flamethrower Smeargle? How do you mess up these new rentals so badly? Even the weaker Pokemon like Flamethrower Houndour aren't good enough to use if it's never KOing anything. Okay, despite most of these still being bad, there's a couple Gen 2 rentals that are actually pretty good. Some of these Pokemon are better in the cups that we'll get into later, but for now, I will say that Heracross, Corsola, Donphan, and especially Wobbuffet will be the key players we're going to need to beat this game with just rentals. Before I get to the biggest sections of this game, I'm going to go over two other modes available. The first are the minigames. Stadium 1's minigames are very nostalgic to me. I played every single one for many hours, except for maybe Snore War. I never really liked that one. The minigame that stood out the most to me, however, was Ekans Hoop Pearl. It was so satisfying to just throw some snakes on Diglett and hear this cool remix of the RBY bike music. Hearing that there are minigames in Stadium 2 also caught my attention, and I have to say that these minigames are just as good as the original. Not only are there more minigames, but almost all of them are unique compared to the first game, except for Peach's Power Plant, which feels like a rehash of Thundering Dynamo from Stadium 1, so that's one of my least favorites for that reason. The rest, however, are all new and unique. I won't go over all of them in this video, but some of my favorites include Furry Frolic, Clear Cut Challenge, and my favorite of them all, Streaming Stampede. In these minigames, you witness the most hilarious nicknames of these Pokemon of all time. Birdie It. Yes, game, thank you very much. Yes, my favorite evolution, Mimeon. Buffoon. I'm sorry, I just love that name. There's even some trivia questions that are very good, and even I got puzzled trying them out at some points. Overall, I'm very nostalgic to the Stadium 1 minigames. I am pleased to see how amazing these minigames are. The second mode is Earl's Pokemon Academy, which is new to this game. Remember that school from Violet City in Gold, Silver, and Crystal? Yeah, you don't. This mode takes place in that school, but you actually learn all the aspects of battling, from the basics of type matchups and status conditions to combo moves and making correct switches. It's a very solid way to get to know battling in Pokemon and prepare yourself for the non-stop battles you'll be doing in this game. Unfortunately, because this mode is optional and I'm way too smart with Pokemon nowadays, I didn't bother playing this mode on my streams. Wait, streams I say? That's right, I streamed the entire Pokémon Stadium 2 Round 2 playthrough on my Twitch channel, which you should absolutely follow if you want to see more content from me. Why Round 2? Because Round 1 and 2 are the same, but Round 2 is more difficult and provides better content for me. Anyways, I play through a lot of variety games and even do hardcore Nuzlockes of Pokemon games. I'm currently on the grind to find followers, so I would appreciate a follow if anyone watching is able to do so. I also upload all my VODs from my Twitch to this YouTube channel, which you should also subscribe to. I plan to make more videos like this in the future, so I'd appreciate all the support I can get as I continue to create content for everybody to enjoy. Alright, that's enough self-promoting. This is my playthrough of Pokémon Stadium 2, Round 2. Let's see how I did. So, just like Stadium 1, in order to beat Pokémon Stadium 2, you must beat the Gym Leader Castle, the 4 tournaments, and a secret final battle with the rival in both Round 1 and Round 2. Round 1 starts off pretty easy, but gets drastically difficult at some points. Once the Round 1 rival is defeated, you unlock Round 2, and from here the game becomes extremely difficult. This time, however, these modes have changed a bit to make the experience of Stadium 2 different. Just like in the last video, I'm going to be starting off with the tournaments. Before that, however, I should mention how battling works in this game. Like I said from the Stadium 1 video, it's like a battle facility. Almost every battle requires you to bring 6 Pokemon, and each battle you and your opponents will choose 3 of those 6 Pokemon. This makes fights more difficult since you have less options to counter each Pokemon per fight, and you're carrying that team until the end of the tournament or gyms. With that said, it is still possible to win as long as you have good team type combinations. Most of the trainers I'll be fighting have a gimmick like certain types only, certain moves only, strong Pokemon, and more. I will be honest though, I did use a speedrun guide for Stadium 2 to choose the most optimal rental Pokemon for every single fight in the game. It might sound boring that I'm just copying the same strats for this game like I did for the first video, but I will try changing up my strats a bit as I get later into the game. Besides that guide, there's also a Team Manipulator resource that shows how Stadium 2's AI picks team combinations in percentages based on your 6 rental Pokemon. However, I never knew about the existence of this resource during my playthrough, so I didn't use it. I'll be leaving it in the description if you would like to use it as well for some reason. Okay, back to the tournaments. Tournament mode, just like Stadium 1, is a series of tournaments consisting of 8 trainer battles in a row, and you must win all to earn the trophy for that tournament. If you win a battle without losing a Pokemon, you get a continue. If you lose any battle, you must either use up a continue, or you're starting over the entire tournament. Sounds difficult, right? Well, yes and no. Yes, it's annoying to reset if you lose at any point. The thing is, however, there's a glitch I use to work around this, and this glitch is only applicable to Stadium 2, not Stadium 1. The glitch that I used is called the Infinite Continue glitch. To pull this off, all you have to do is battle in any cup, get a continue, ideally the first fight, then choose Suspend. When you do this, you will be taken to the title screen, and once you get to the Suspend battle screen, you'll want to choose No, and do this every time you get to this screen. Now you can just play any tournament like normal, and try to win one continue from that tournament. If you lose a fight without a continue, you have to restart the entire tournament. If you lose and you have exactly one continue remaining, then do not use it. Instead, you want to choose Suspend, and in the next scene, you'll see a previous suspended file. You want to choose Continue without suspending. After that, you'll be back to the same battle you just lost, and your continue will not be used up. Do this every time you lose, and if you have one continue left, and you'll have infinite continues for all tournaments. If you have more than one continue before you lose, just use them up like normal until you have one left. Considering the game's difficulty from trainers having hacks items and better stats than the rentals, you bet this glitch will make the game a lot easier to play. That is extremely time saving for the later cups in this game, so hopefully you'll understand why I'm using it. Now for the actual cups in tournament mode. Tournament mode has 4 different cups to complete. In Stadium 1, there were 4 cups: Poké Cup, Prime Cup, Petite Cup, and Pika Cup. In this game, Poké Cup and Prime Cup return, but Petite Cup and Pika Cup both get replaced by the newly added Little Cup and Challenge Cup. Of these 4 cups, I started with Little Cup, the smallest and shortest of them all. Little Cup is a tournament where only level 5 pre-evolved Pokemon are allowed, plus they have to be hatched from eggs. This is pretty much similar to Smogon's Little Cup and Stadium 1's Petite Cup, but it's for Gen 2 and there's no bans for any Pokemon. So you can already imagine what Pokemon exceeds best in this cup. Yeah, there's definitely no pre-evolved Pokemon that is too broken for Little Cup at all. No such Pokemon exists. Anyways, there are some rules that apply to all these cups, like freeze and sleep clause, you lose if you explode with your last Pokemon, and you can't use same Pokemon in items. The exclusive rule to Little Cup, however, is that Dragon Rage and Sonic Boom are both banned because they deal way too much damage at level 5. Now for the rentals. The rentals in this cup aren't actually that bad. Since I'm only using pre-evolved Pokemon, some are going to have the good stat moves like Flamethrower, Charmander, or Surf Totodile. That and at level 5, most of these Pokemon are going to have similar stats. With that said, it's very easy for a Pokemon to fate in this cup, so having defensive Pokemon for this cup is not ideal. Instead, the best strategy for this cup is to use fast and hard-hitting Pokemon. The rentals I use for this cup are Abra, Horsey, Magby, Mankey, Phanpy, and Voltorb. You'll also notice the items I have next to each Pokemon. These are the berries I mentioned earlier in the video, so I'm giving my Pokemon these berries, but not all will be necessary. Little Cup for the most part was easy. My Abra has Psychic, good speed at level 5, and holds a berry, which restores 10 HP. While it's pretty useless in all other modes, 10 HP at level 5 is usually over half your health, so it's very useful just for Little Cup. I also first tried most of these trainers, but I'll mention some of the gimmicks they have. Camper Grant uses Swagger, Pokefan Jeanette uses Double Team, Swimmer Cora uses Attract, and Teacher Tina uses Priority moves. All these fights went surprisingly well, thankfully. With that said, the last fight, Pokefan Rex, is definitely one of the hardest battles of the game. He's similar to the Fisher in Pika Cup Round 2 where he has a Pokemon that destroys my entire team, and the battle becomes an instant loss if he picks it. Rex's Scyther outspeeds all rental Pokemon, has a King's Rock to potentially flinch my Pokemon, and has a strong attack stat and moves to demolish my team. Ignoring Scyther now, the rest of his team is still annoying to deal with, but I have a big brain strategy to overcome this fight. With my rental team, Rex should almost always lead with Slowpoke, so to counter it, I lead with Abra. Turn 1, it seems obvious to use the super effective dark move Thief here, right? Wrong. I use Psychic instead. The reason for this is because Slowpoke uses Surf turn 1, and unless it crits, it'll never KO Abra, and it'll activate the berry I have. On turn 2, now I use Thief, because the Slowpoke is holding a Gold Berry. If I had used Thief turn 1, Slowpoke would activate the Gold Berry and get back to full health. Using Thief turn 2 means that since I use my berry, I can steal Slowpoke's Gold Berry, tank another Surf, and activate that Gold Berry to restore it to full health. Another Thief later, Slowpoke faints. The second Pokemon is what determines the difficulty of the fight. On my first try, I lost because Elekid predicted my Phanpy switch by Ice Punching, and for some reason I brought Voltorb for the fight, which I definitely wasn't supposed to do. I was supposed to bring Mankey. Either way, I would have lost the fight. Second attempt, he led with Scyther, so yeah, instant reset. Third attempt, his second Pokemon was Onix, which thankfully Abra and Phanpy were able to take it out. But then Chansey came out and let me show you what happened.
Pog Mankey, let's go. Oh, you eat a Thunderbolt too. Come on, Pog Mankey, come on. Oh, come on, dude. That's not fair. That's only a 10% chance. Are you kidding me? Still Pog though, but come on. Just one more. Alright. Come on. Let's do a Mankey. Come on. Come on! Dude, that is actually BS. Are you kidding me? Also, how am I slower than a Chansey? It doesn't make any sense. I lose. Oh, speed tie! That was a speed tie the whole time. Come on. Bro, are you actually kidding me? Dude, that was a speed tie. And I got triple focus fan. Are you actually kidding me?
Yeah. Now you see why Vivid continues? Imagine getting this awful RNG right at the end of the tournament. Anyways, on my fourth attempt, I got crit by Surf, so it was a loss. On my last attempt, Rex actually switches out from Slowpoke to Onix turn 1 for some reason, which means I got to KO for free with 2 Psychics. Then Elekid came out, and I sacrificed Mankey to get Phanpy in to KO Elekid. One crit dodge later, Phanpy KOs with Earthquake, and I can perform the same Abra vs Slowpoke strategy to win the fight. So, thanks Rex for throwing for me. I have now successfully beaten Little Cup. I have earned a trophy for it. Very cool. Next up is Prime Cup. This is the same cup as Stadium 1's Prime Cup, where it's level 100 Pokemon and all Pokemon are allowed. Unlike Stadium 1, however, there's only now 1 division to battle instead of 4 divisions. In a way, it's easier because there's less fights to do, but the 8 fights are a lot harder than most of Stadium 1's Prime Cup fights to make up for it. The rentals are similar to the Gym Leader Castle rentals, which I will go over later, but for now we gotta stay with what we got. There's also some unique rentals to this cup only, like Surfing Pikachu, Mew, and Celebi. These 3 Pokemon, however, didn't seem that good, so I didn't use them. Instead, my team for Prime Cup was Fearow, Heracross, Hitmonlee, Kadabra, Voltorb, and Wobbuffet. I'll mention this right now, but most of these Pokemon I'm going to be using for the rest of the game. Of all the cups in this game, I'd say Prime Cup is the hardest to get a continue on. The very first fight against Last Terry uses Attract as our gimmick. Because of this, I'd advise continuing on to Black Belt Yang to get your continue, since I'd say he's the easiest of all the fights in this cup. I also want to bring up this third fight right here, Birdkeeper Adam. He's just your typical third fight with the legendary birds and an extreme speed Dragonite. Thankfully, this is why I have Voltorb and Wobbuffet. I might as well just go ahead and say this, Voltorb is the best rental in the game. Almost every rental Voltorb has Rain Dance to make Thunder 100% accurate in Rain, Mirror Coat to counter any special attackers that will almost never KO Voltorb, and Self-Destruct with base 100 speed to get some damage off when it's about to faint. Wobbuffet only learns 4 moves in Gen 2, Counter, Mirror Coat, Safeguard, and Destiny Bond. So of course Wobbuffet is just an easy pick to use for this game. Adam chooses all 3 legendary birds on my first attempt. Thankfully I was able to beat him on my first try with Voltorb using Rain Dance and Thunder on Zapdos, then Mirror Coating Moltres and Articuno with Wobbuffet. This is going to be the most common strategy I use for this game. Yes, it may sound cheap, but deal with it. This is my playthrough. Most of the other fights weren't too bad. I got lucky with Fisherman Chase in that Feraligatr missed Hydro Pump once, and Wobbuffet got through a paralysis against Slowbro. For Scientist Craig, I used Bitterberry Kadabra to get some guaranteed Psychics off, and Heracross destroys Umbreon. The last fight in this cup, Cool Trainer Marty, does the same thing as male Cool Trainer in Stadium 1 in that he brings a mythical on his team, and he always chooses it. This time in round 1, he always brings Mew to the battle, but in round 2, he has a Celebi and he always brings it. The Mew in Stadium 1 was difficult to beat because there were no good answers for it besides maybe Chansey or Jolteon, but those required getting through Paralysis and landing Thunders. In Stadium 2, there is a new Pokemon to help answer both Mew and Celebi, and that is Megahorn Heracross. The plan for this fight is simple. I lead Wobbuffet and Marty usually leads off with Celebi. If it's Celebi, I switch to Heracross while it uses Leech Seed. All I have to do now is not get crit, land Megahorn, and Celebi is defeated. I let Heracross fade against the incoming Raikou here. Unfortunately, on my first attempt, I forgot that I was supposed to safeguard with Wobbuffet while Raikou uses Reflect on the same turn. And that led to Persian using Hypnosis constantly, so it was a loss from there. Second attempt, I missed my Megahorn on Celebi, so it was another loss there. My third attempt, I learned that I actually can't hit Gengar at all with Wobbuffet and him on lead, so I had to forfeit there too. On my fourth attempt, everything else went perfect. Celebi was defeated, I used Safeguard with Wobbuffet against Raikou's Reflect, and then I mirror coated Raikou's Crunch. Persian was left, but here's where things get annoyingly difficult. This Persian has both Bite and Body Slam, and it randomly chooses which one to use between the two. This happens in a lot of other battles I'll be facing in this game. Thankfully, I guess that I used Body Slam, so I took it and then countered it for some chip damage. Once Wobbuffet was KO'd, I sent out Hitmonlee, but I still had to dodge a crit and paralysis from Body Slam while I had to land High Jump Kick. Thankfully, I didn't get haxed and thus Marty was defeated. The Prime Cut trophy is now mine. Next up is Poké Cup, another returning cup from Stadium 1. First off, Poké Cup and Challenge Cup have 4 divisions you must beat. You start off with Pokeball difficulty, in which trainers have weak Pokemon for the most part. Once you beat Pokeball, you move on to Great Ball, where trainers get a bit stronger, but not too stronger. After you beat Great Ball, you unlock Ultra Ball, and after that you unlock Master Ball, the hardest difficulty. Unlike Stadium 1, where you fight the same 8 trainers each difficulty, Stadium 2 does something a bit different with these divisions. Pokeball and Ultra Ball share the same 8 trainers, with Pokeball at an easy difficulty and Ultra Ball at their hardest. Great Ball and Master Ball share the same 8 trainers, with Great Ball at an easy difficulty and Master Ball at their hardest. This is honestly a really cool change. It takes advantage of the new trainer classes by adding more variety when battling opponents, and it leads to more unique gimmicks instead of battling the same 4 trainers from the last game. Pokeball follows the exact same rules as the previous game, but I might as well go over it again in this video too. This cup allows Pokemon to level 50 to 55, and when choosing a team combination each fight, the team level combination cannot pass a total of 155. This means that if you bring your precious level 55 Dragonite or Tyranitar, you have to bring 2 level 50 Pokemon for that fight as well. The rentals in Poké Cup are all level 50, so in most circumstances, you will be put at a level disadvantage when you go in the later fights in each division in Poké Cup. Unlike in Stadium 1 where I said these were the best rentals in the game, the rentals here are nowhere near as good, but they are good enough to beat Round 2 Poké Cup. So, because Ultra Ball and Master Ball divisions have all unique trainers at their hardest difficulties, I'll go over them as best as I can. My Ultra Ball team was Fearow, Hitmonlee, Kadabra, Sandslash, Seadra, and Voltorb. Most of these fights were pretty easy. There was, however, an unfortunate sequence against Hiker Chester here.
Time to do a math right now.
What'll it do?
Yeah, we're gonna have to dodge some flinches, so pray for me. Alright, that's 1 flinch, awesome. Is this where it really gonna beat me 1v1?
The heated action continues.
Don't tell me, man. Just don't tell me the odds.
There's the attack.
Come on.
Little damage.
Seriously?
Uh-oh, it's
Am I literally gonna lose to a freaking Furret?
the white hot battle.
Not only does the Lickitung stall me, but Furret is just gonna say, oh, I'm gonna win now.
How's that? A light hit.
Come on. Dude.
Nope, it still can't
Nope.
move.
That's what you're saying. Alright.
Both hanging tough.
Alright, well. Sandslash, come on. This is a range to kill, so let's not die.
The hit
Nice.
bounced right off. It managed to hang in there. Uh-oh, it's still immobilized.
Y'all want to tell me the odds or what? You guys want to tell me the odds?
Other than that, not much really happened in Ultra Ball. Burglar Jensen has a Moltres, which isn't difficult to beat with Seadra. Border Claude had the other 2 legendary birds, so that's kinda cool. I did struggle against him because his Golduck crit my Voltorb once and my Hitmonlee missed an important high jump kick, but otherwise he was still pretty easy. The last fight with Psychic Mason, however, requires us to do some specific things to win. First off, he needs to lead off with Jolteon or it's an instant loss. Thankfully he does first try. I lead with Sandslash, and as Jolteon switches out to Xatu, I get off a Sandstorm. Sandstorm in Generation 2 deals 1/8 of your total health. This Johto uses Confuse Ray on my Sand Slash, but I have a Bitter Berry to cure it and then use Fury Swipes. Yes, this Sand Slash has Fury Swipes. I missed the Fury Swipes, and then after Johto gets another Confuse Ray off, I hit myself in confusion. All this doesn't matter, thankfully. The reason I needed those 2 turns was to get off some sand damage on Johto. That and the Johto is about to use Nightshade, so I can switch into Fearow to finally get a free switch. Yes, the Johto doesn't have Psychic for some odd reason. Unfortunately, I failed to realize Johto's faster than my Fearow, so I risked another Confuse Ray. And thankfully, Fearow got through and landed a Hyper Beam to KO Johto. So now Jolteon can finish off my Fearow and... What? It switched out to Espeon. That's... not good. I didn't know what to do in this situation, so I just Hyper Beamed and tried getting Fearow to faint so I could get Voltorb in safely. Espeon used Reflect as I Hyper Beams, getting off some unnecessary damage. As Espeon KOs it with some Psychics, now Voltorb comes in to take a Psychic, then Mirror Coated for a KO. All that's left is Jolteon, which by the way has a Light Ball for some reason. I just find that hilarious. So Voltorb goes down, and now it's just Sand Slash versus Jolteon. The only way Jolteon can win is if it gets many Bite Flinches, but it doesn't get any on the first turn, and Sand Slash gets off an Earthquake. This is actually a range to KO the Jolteon, but thankfully I get the range. Ultra Ball is now finished. Pokécup Master Ball I'd say is the hardest cup in the game, simply because there's many specific manipulations you have to do in order to win these fights. The same could be said for every fight in the game, but there are many layers and different possibilities that can happen in each fight. So for this cup, I used Corsola, Donphan, Fearow, Haunter, Kadabra, and Voltorb. The early fights went surprisingly well. Pokefan Carmen uses a metronome team, so it was pretty easy to earn my continue here. Fire Breather Cliff I expected to be a huge challenge since his Typhlosion can sweep my entire team, but I had an easy time being able to Destiny Bond his Nidoqueen, use Corsola to be Charizard, and then get a crit with Fearow Dropkick against the Exeggutor. Teacher Molly has a Girafarig that lets to spam Double Team and Agility, all to baton pass it to her high-leveled Arcanine. I did almost lose to it, but thankfully Donphan landed an important Earthquake to KO it, and then a Rain Dance with Voltorb to make Thunder guaranteed hits against the Girafarig and Scizor to win. Pokefan Baxter, however, is the hardest battle in the entire game, simply because there are many flinches and crits I have to dodge, and then he has to bring a specific team in order for me to win, which thankfully is the most common team Baxter has. Let's see how I did. I lead with Donphan and Baxter leads with Electrode. If he leads with any other Pokemon, it is an instant loss. Now comes the first step of RNG to dodge. Electrode uses Headbutt, and that means I have to dodge many flinches from it. Turn 1, I get off a Sandstorm, and this Sandstorm needs to stay active until Baxter's second Pokemon comes out. Turn 2, I do get flinched, but turn 3 I get through and land an Earthquake to KO the Electrode. Baxter sends out Suicune next, which is the next Pokemon I want out. Sandstorm in Generation 2 also damages the Pokemon in the battlefield after the Pokemon is sent out, so Suicune will take some necessary chip damage from the sand as it comes out. Now, Suicune will use Surf, and I need Donphan alive, so I switch into Corsola, praying for no crit, and a low damage roll. And thankfully nothing bad happened here. Suicune will Surf again here, and unfortunately I think I got low rolled because Corsola's Mirror Code did not KO Suicune. That's all fine though. Corsola faints the next turn, and now I sent out Haunter to KO with Giga Drain. Now comes the last Pokemon, and this will determine if I win or lose. If it's Stick Club Marowak, I win with Destiny Bond. But if it's Alakazam, it KOs the rest of my team with Psychic and Baxter wins. Fortunately, the last was Marowak, so I can just Destiny Bond and sacrifice Haunter and let Marowak KO with Earthquake to take it out. Did I mention that was battle number 7 by the way? So, now I approach the final battle of the cup, Pokemaniac Pedro. He has 2 level 55s, and he's guaranteed to bring one of the two. Snorlax is more common with the team I have, and I'd say it's the easier of the two to beat since I have a great counter for it. Unfortunately, I had no idea that Pedro loves to switch to Snorlax often, so I lost my first 3 attempts because of that. On my last attempt, he leads with Gengar this time, which I kinda wanted actually, because I can show off this insane strategy right here. So, I lead with Voltorb, and now I'm going to do some switching to get Donphan out against Snorlax. So turn 1, I switch out to Donphan as Gengar uses Confuse Ray. Turn 2, I switch back to Voltorb to get Gengar to use Destiny Bond. Turn 3, I switch to Haunter now as Gengar uses Confuse Ray again, and by turn 4, I switch to Donphan as Pedro finally switches into Snorlax knowing Snorlax can wall Haunter. Now comes another series of RNG I need. So my Donphan uses Earthquake, which does not get a crit. Snorlax now uses Belly Drum to maximize his attack stat and recover some HP with leftovers. If I had gotten a crit with that Earthquake, Snorlax wouldn't have gotten off a Belly Drum and it would start using Rest and Snore, which actually happened in one of my failed attempts. Anyways, now this next Earthquake is arranged to KO, and thankfully I got the KO. So now Gengar comes out and I have to dodge Confusion hits from Confuse Ray. It took a couple of turns, but I landed an Earthquake and got the KO on Gengar. The last Pokemon is Machamp, so I can just sack Donphan here and hunt to finishes off the Machamp with Destiny Bond. This gets us the last trophy for Pokécup, and thus Pokécup is now complete. And finally we have Challenge Cup, which is brand new to Stadium 2 and by far my favorite cup in the game. This is another cup with 4 divisions to beat. Unlike all the other cups where you can bring over your Game Boy teams, this cup does not allow that, nor are you allowed to use the rental Pokemon. Instead, you are given a random team of 6 Pokemon and you must win the tournament with that team. Since there's 4 divisions here too, I will have to win them with 4 different teams. The teams you're given will be random from a certain pool of Pokemon. Since there's so much to cover in this cup, I'll just put a link in the description that shows what Pokemon are available in each division, what type combinations you're usually given, what items each Pokemon can hold, what moves are usually given, and the odds of shiny Pokemon appearing. Yes, shiny Pokemon can actually appear in these tournaments. All this applies to your opponents as well. Their Pokemon will be randomized, but they will have favorite typings or strategies to have a consistent gimmick. They'll also have better stats and better move pools, but it's not always the case. For Pokeball, all Pokemon will be level 30 and most of the Pokemon are pre-evolved or weak fully evolved Pokemon like Ditto and Smeargle. For this division, I recommend going for a good water, electric, and ground type. My team for this was Shellder, Nidoran Female, Mareep, Pidgey, Sunkern, and Larvitar. My Shellder had Surf and Ice Beam, Mareep had Sculpin's Thunderbolt, and Larvitar had Ancient Power and Mudslap for its ground move. The other 3 Pokemon were really nothing special. I still went ahead and used this team because I got the 3 types I asked for, and those 3 Pokemon were good enough to keep. The only tough battle I had was Medium Peggy. Her Slowpoke and Drowsy were pretty tough to beat, but once I brought Sunkern with Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb, things went well. Also, fun fact about Challenge Cup, in round 1, there's 2 Rocket Grunts in this and Ultra Ball divisions, but in round 2, they're replaced by 2 Rocket Executives. That's a nice detail right there. Anyways, after beating Juggler Dwight on my second try, Pokeball is done. At the trophy scene, they also show you how many tries or resets it took to beat the division. I beat it on my first try I got on stream. In Great Ball, we got another set of 8 trainers to beat here and Master Ball. The Pokemon are leveled up to 45, and now there's some evolved Pokemon in this tournament. This division has some really good Pokemon like Abra, Houndour, Staryu, and the greatest of them all, Lightball Pikachu and Thick Club Cubone. If you get either of these Pokemon, keep the team. My Great Ball team was Voltorb, Togetic, Vampy, Ghastly, Omanite, and Parasect. This Voltorb is the same rental Voltorb I've been using this game, but has Explosion instead of Self-Destruct, and it's holding a Goldberry, which could be quite useful even at level 45. Ghastly wasn't that great, but has Self-Destruct, so I wanted to keep it. Vampy has Earthquake, which is all it needs to be usable. Parasect has Giga Drain and Fury Cutter, which has some pretty good uses throughout the game. Omanite has Hydro Pump, and Togetic was just completely trash. This actually was not a good team, but I rolled with it because I wanted to get Great Ball over with. Most of these battles were me exploding with Voltorb and Ghastly when needed, but I did struggle with some of these fights. The last fight especially was quite bad to where I had to use Togetic to try to win, but it didn't work. Once I learned about Parasect, I beat a Gentleman Travis and got myself the Great Ball trophy with only 1 team reset. Ultra Ball levels up the Pokemon to 60. Most of them are fully evolved by now, but there's still some pre-evolved Pokemon like Charmeleon, Seadra, and Ponyta. There's also random Pokemon like Shuckle, Gligar, and Quillfish in this cup. If you get Shuckle especially, it'd probably be best to just reset. I actually think this is the hardest of the 4 divisions because it's very difficult to get a good team. The best Pokemon to get is Stick Club Marowak, but the rest of the Pokemon aren't that great for the most part. I had many resets in this cup because I lacked a good water type, or my water type had a weak stab move like Water Gun. I even had to reset one of my attempts because I just couldn't vibe with the team I had. My team for Ultra Ball was Venomoth, Seadra, Raichu, Wigglytuff, Quagsire, and Skarmory. Seadra was good enough to keep because it had Waterfall and Rain Dance, and that Rain Dance complements my Thunder Raichu. Quagsire had Water Gun, but also Earthquake. Venomoth had Sludge Bomb, and Wigglytuff had Thunder Wave, so they were all useless. Skarmory had Peck, so it was straight up trash. Despite some odd moves, I decided to roll with it, and thank goodness I did so. Most of these fights went surprisingly well. Even Quagsire got to sweep Medium Peggy through Swagger. Dwight had a Shuckle, so I already knew he would be easy to beat. It did take 13 tries to get this team, but it was worth it. Finally comes Master Ball, which has fully evolved Pokemon at level 75. Even though this is supposed to be the hardest division since it's Master Ball, I'd say it's easier than Ultra Ball because you're more likely to get the good types and moves needed to beat this division. For example, Steelix and Donphan usually have Earthquake, Aerodactyl usually has Wing Attack and Ancient Power to destroy twins Jan and Jane, and Houndoom can cheese through Scientist Roberto if it has Feint Attack. My team for Master Ball was Crobat, Houndoom, Electabuzz, Steelix, Pinsir, and Vaporeon. Houndoom had Fire Blast and Bite, Electabuzz had Thunderbolt, Vaporeon had Waterfall, Steelix had Earthquake, Crobat had Wing Attack to help get a continue from the Twins, and Pinsir was completely garbage. This team was so good that I won all my 8 fights without a single loss. Seriously, I don't even know what to say about Master Ball. Even the Travis fight was a joke. Vaporeon beat the Charizard 1v1, Houndoom took out the Meganium, and I saved Vaporeon for the Rhydon in the end. With only 3 resets, I obtained the last cup needed for tournament mode. Overall, Challenge Cup was a fun experience, and if there's any cup I recommend you all play, it's this one. It's one where anyone can play without much Pokemon knowledge, and it's pure chaos, and I love it. With all the cups done, all that's left is Gym Leader Castle. In Stadium 1, Gym Leader Castle has 8 gyms where you need to beat 3 trainers and a gym leader in a row for every gym. In Stadium 2, there's now 8 Johto gyms to beat, but each gym varies in how many trainers you fight before the gym leader themselves. For example, Violet City Gym now only has 1 regular trainer, then Faulkner to fight. Azalea Town, the next gym, has 2 regular trainers, then Bugsy. For all these pre-gym leader trainers, I mainly spammed Explosion and Self-Destruct Pokemon to KO the first 2 opposing Pokemon, and then 1v1 the last Pokemon was a good rental like Kadabra or Fearow. Just like Stadium 1, once you beat the final gym leader, you unlock the chance to battle the Elite 4 and the Champion. The rules in this mode are the same as Stadium 1, but I'll go over them again anyway. Number 1, you do not get continues when beating a trainer, so if you lose to any trainer in the gym, you have to redo the entire gym. Since I don't get continues, I can't use the infinite continue glitch in this mode, so I do need to win these fights as intended to progress onwards. Number 2, you have to beat every gym in order, so you have to beat Faulkner in order to move on to Bugsy, you have to beat Bugsy to move on to Whitney, etc. And number 3, while you can't enter any Pokemon from any level, the opponents in this mode will have Pokemon at the minimum level of 50. Now, if you were to bring a transfer team to the gym, and one of your Pokemon is higher than level 50, then the opponent's levels will match to the level of the highest level Pokemon on your team. For example, if you brought 5 Pokemon at level 50, and your precious Tyranitar, who evolves level 55 in the games, then the opponents will all have level 55 Pokemon. Thankfully, because the rentals are all level 50, I will be fighting the Gym Leader Castle Trainers at level 50, and I will never be at a level disadvantage. One last thing I should mention are the Gym Leaders themselves. In round 2 especially, they all start having Pokemon that aren't their specialized typings. This is to make themselves more challenging than they would be in the main games. And considering that some of the gym leaders specialize in types that have very few Pokemon like Ghost and Dragon, and need a team of 6 Pokemon, it's expected for them to have other Pokemon types in their teams. The gym leaders also tend to have some gimmicks besides their specialized typings. For example, Whitney's team centers around the move Baton Pass. She has a Mr. Mime to not only counter fighting types and hit the Ghastly family super effectively, but to Baton Pass the double teams and meditates to another Pokemon in her team. On top of all this, every gym leader has an ace Pokemon, which is a Pokemon that they will always bring in every fight. Most of these aces are their strongest Pokemon in the main games, like Miltank for Whitney, Gengar for Morty, etc. Some gym leaders, however, have aces that aren't in the main games, and it's only for round 2. I'll bring up those trainers as I progress in this video. For now, it is time I finally dig into my battles against these gym leaders, so let's get started. Faulkner is very easy. He's the only gym leader in round 2 that uses all Pokemon with his specialized type, in this case Flying. He's also one of those gym leaders where his ace looks very obvious at first, but it's not. His strongest Pokemon GSC is Pidgeotto, so it makes sense for Pidgeot to be his ace. That is the case for round 1, but not in round 2. Instead, his ace is now Zapdos, so he's guaranteed to bring that each time you fight him. Anyways, for this fight, he leaves with Zapdos while I go Haunter. All I have to do is dodge a crit from Zapdos Thunderbolt, and it's a win. Haunter is holding a Paralysis Cure Berry in case it paralyzes me, and I pull off a Destiny Bond. Faulkner's done enough to attack my Haunter the next turn, so it and Zapdos both go down. And from here, Aerodactyl sweeps the incoming Dodrio and Charizard with Ancient Power for the win. For Bugsy, I start off with Destiny Bond against the Quagsire. Next is Wobbuffet against Pinsir, and all I have to do is click counter twice against Pinsir's Body Slam without getting paralyzed for another clean KO. Scyther Hyper Beams my Wobbuffet, but it survives and I counter it back for another easy KO. Aerodactyl was in the back if Wobbuffet got crit by the way, so it was still a guaranteed win. The Whitney battle surprisingly went well too. She swapped out Mr. Mime on turn 1 for Miltank as I go Destiny Bond, and I decided to stay in and let Haunter get KO'd by Earthquake to take out the Miltank. Now it's up to my Wobbuffet to beat the incoming Golduck and Mr. Mime in the back, as my last Pokemon is Hitmonchan, who is normally supposed to counter the Miltank, but gets destroyed by these last 2 Pokemon. This is another situation where Golduck can have either physical or special move against Wobbuffet, so I have to guess correctly here. It used Crush Up turn 1, but the next turn it used Surf like I thought it would, and I KO'd it with Mirror Coat. Mr. Mime is last, and since its only offensive move is Psychic, I could just spam Mirror Coat until it hits me with Psychic twice and then KO it back. The issue, however, is that it has double team, which can make my mirror coat miss. Thankfully, I hit the 2 mirror coats and I win the fight. Of all the Johto Gym Leaders in this game, I'd say Morty is the hardest. His team is quite diverse, and his main gimmick is using Confuse Ray to cause confusion towards my Pokemon. He's also the gym leader I lost to the most, so let's see what happened in each attempt I failed against him. On attempt 1, I lead with Voltorb against his Lapras. Voltorb takes Lapras Ice Beam to get off a mirror coat. I didn't know if it was better to use Thunder or Self-Destruct here, so I decided to blow up and get the KO I need. It didn't end up mattering because I stayed in with Kadabra against his Misdreavus with Shadow Ball, and it surprisingly when it KO'd me. I expected Kadabra to live 1 because even though his awful defenses, Misdreavus' attack stat isn't great too. But no, Kadabra faded to it. Graveler can't handle both Misdreavus and Gengar from there, so it was a loss. Attempt 2, I switched from Voltorb to Graveler against the Gramble lead on turn 1. After using Earthquake once, I blew up and beat the Gramble. Now I use Voltorb against Misdreavus, who got off a Confuse Ray, and then...
Me. What? I think my Nintendo 4 froze. I think my Nintendo 4 froze on me. That's a first.
Yeah, that happened. I guess my N64 didn't want to see that exciting 1v1 we were all waiting for. So in attempt 3, it was Voltorb vs Lapras again. Same outcome as before, this time Morty sent out Mantine against my Kadabra, which was perfect. Of course, one Thunder Punch isn't going to KO a Mantine, but I get a paralysis from it. My Kadabra is also holding a Bitter Berry to cure off the first Confuse Ray. Unfortunately, I missed my second Thunder Punch because this Mantine is holding a Bright Powder, and my Kadabra got confused the same turn. I hit my third Thunder Punch for a KO, and now it's Kadabra and Graveler vs Gengar. Gengar got a paralysis from Thunderbolt, but Kadabra still managed to get one more Psychic off. Psychic is a range to win a KO against Gengar, and I didn't get the range. So Gengar got the KO on Kadabra, and now Graveler has to beat this 4 HP Gengar. Should be simple enough to do, right? Lol, of course not. It confused my Graveler with Confuse Ray, and then Graveler hit itself in Confusion the same turn. Psychic to a KO, so I have to get through Confusion this turn or I lose, and Graveler does, thus getting the win. I should also mention that Gengar was holding a King's Rock, so my Kadabra earlier dodged the Foley Paralysis, Confusion hit, Critical hit, and a flinch on the turn it hit the Psychic. That's some insane luck right there that made the win more satisfying. Trucker get to do some cool strats with Haunter, and not just with Destiny Bond this time. He typically leads with his Ace Poliwrath, which he did in my first attempt, and from here Haunter uses Giga Drain while Poliwrath does the idiot move of using Belly Drum when he has no hacks item. That just means I can KO it for free with another Giga Drain. Quick Claw Ursaring is next. Thankfully, I get off a Destiny Bomb before Ursaring KOs Haunter with Earthquake. The last Pokemon is Sandslash, while I use Weezing to try self-destruct so Kadabra can finish it off. Unfortunately, thanks to Scope Lens, Sandslash lands a crit on my Weezing, and my Kadabra didn't crit the Sandslash, so that resulted into a loss. Second attempt, the same thing happened, except instead of Ursaring, Sandslash is the next Pokemon. This means Haunter can Destiny Bond for a KO against Sandslash. The last Pokemon was Bright Powder Ampharos this time, and Weezing led to self-destruct. It didn't KO, but Kadabra landed the Psychic to finish it off. Olivine City Gym is unique in that it's the only gym without any regular trainers before the gym leader. You only have to fight Jasmine in this gym. That's because in the main games, she's the only trainer you fight in the Olivine City Gym, so of course that's carried over to Stadium 2. Because of this, she's by far the easiest gym leader, as you don't have to plan any other fights before Jasmine herself. So, I lead with Wobbuffet and she leads with Steelix. Wobbuffet just counters the Earthquake from Steelix, but then Blastoise is their next Pokemon, and the fight went completely downhill from here. First off, this is another situation where I need Blastoise to hit my Wobbuffet with a special attack. Not only did it not do that by using Earthquake, but that Earthquake crit my Wobbuffet, and then I died to the incoming Surf. Then my Coughing was next, and I had to immediately explode. That doesn't KO, and finally I had to pray Waterfall could KO the Blastoise from 24 HP, since I didn't want to risk Zap Cannon. Blastoise lived on 1 HP, and then it decided to Ice Beam instead of Earthquake, which just happened to freeze my Starmie when it mattered. Finally, Earthquake crit again for the cherry on top of everything. Yes, I just got 3-0'd by a Blastoise. Very embarrassing of me, I know. Next attempt, Steelix lost to Wobbuffet again, and instead of guessing moves against Blastoise, I went Destiny Bond until it KO'd my Wobbuffet, which it did thankfully. Coughing used Explosion on Rapidash after taking a Flamethrower, and Jasmine was defeated. Now time for the 7th gym leader Oh, well this is a surprise. So yeah, Team Rocket is in this game. Yeah, I mentioned them minutes ago in Challenge Cup, but they're actually in Gym Leader Castle mode as their own section of the game. This is honestly another really cool thing to do in this game. In Stadium 1, the final gym was technically the Team Rocket section of Gym Leader Castle, since you had to fight a Grunt and Giovanni, but that was pretty much it. Now they are forced to be reckoned with, as they are a roadblock for you to continue your quest to beat every gym leader in Johto. My question is, why not fight them after Price? Last thing I remember, you have to fight the Rocket Trainers and Admins at the Goldenrod Tower after obtaining 7 badges and Gold Silver Crystals, so why not put them there instead? Oh well, they're here now, and I have to stop them. To beat this section, you have to be 4 Team Rocket Trainers in a row, which include 2 Grunts and 2 Executives. The first Grunt uses a lot of exploding Pokemon, which I absolutely respect. I mean, Explosion is my favorite Pokemon move. Anyways, Kadabra beats the Cloyster with Thunder Punch, then Donphan cleans up the Sudowoodo and Weezing. The second Grunt uses trapping moves like Whirlpool and Bind, but also lets to stall out with Toxic, Protect, and Perish Song. My Weezing exploded against Dewgong to get a lot of damage, then Fearow KO'd it. Shelter has terrible special defense, so I knew my Seadra could beat it as long as I didn't get Toxic Stall badly. Onix being last means instead of risking Seadra, I could just go to Fearow to give her a taste of her own medicine. I haven't mentioned it yet, but Fearow is one of those Gen 1 rental Pokemon that got significantly buffed. It has good stats and incredible rental moves, if you haven't noticed. Anyways, I used Toxic on Onix to stall it out since it has no rock moves and it loves to protect, and eventually I KO'd it. Now comes the first Executive. Her gimmick is actually simple. All her Pokemon have the move Frustration, which is a 102 power normal move if the Pokemon has 0 happiness. That should tell you how evil Team Rocket is, I guess. What is funny, however, is that none of her Pokemon are normal types, so they don't even get stab out of it. She leads with Kabutops. This Kabutops is holding a Berserk, so I have to pray it hits itself while I get off a Zap Cannon with Weezing. Kabutops lands the first Frustration attack, but I hit it with Zap Cannon, and I decide to blow up afterwards. Kadabra finishes off the fight with 3 Psychics against Kabutops, Arbok, and Victreebel. Finally, we have the last Executive. His gimmick is Swagger, so it's time for me to pray I dodge every confusion hacks possible. With the team I have, he's guaranteed to lead off with Houndoom, so to counter that, I lead with Donphan. Houndoom always charges up Solar Beam turn 1, so I just KO with Earthquake. I did make a mistake by switching into Fearow the next turn because I didn't know Parasect would just use Swagger turn 1 instead of Giga Draining. I hit myself with Fearow's first attack while Parasect used Stun Spore. I had a Paralysis Care Berry to recover from it thankfully, and then the next turn I hit Drill Peck to KO Parasect. Hypno being last means I can sacrifice Fearow, then go into Haunter and safely Dusty Bond on the Psychic. With the Hypno defeated, Team Rocket is no more, and I move on to the last 2 Gym Leaders in Gym Leader Castle. Price was surprisingly not too bad. Even though I've Giga Drain Haunter against Quagsire, it was best I sacrificed it with Dusty Bond to get a guaranteed KO on Quagsire. Now it's Wobbuffet vs Articuno, which is now his ace, not Piloswine. This Articuno can choose Ice Beam or Double Edge here, and thankfully I guessed correctly with Mirror Code as Articuno Ice Beams. The second turn it gets a crit and a freeze, but I had a Bird Bear to cure myself and get another Mirror Code off. Price still owed Piloswine in the back though, so it wasn't a guaranteed win yet, because it's holding a Quick Claw. Wobbuffet went down and now Starmie has to clutch up for me. We exchanged a Waterfall and Earthquake this turn, and on the last turn, I went first and got off a Waterfall for the win. It's crazy to think that the Ice Gym Leader is one of the hardest Gym Leaders in the game because Ice is known for being one of the worst types in the game, but that just shows that anything is possible in Stadium 2. At last we have Claire, the final Gym Leader. I should mention I did lose to Cool Trainer Vince because I didn't know Bayleaf could learn Counter, so I lost Fearow for no reason in that fight. That should tell you how difficult Claire is, right? Well, sorta, but let's see how I did. The team I have makes Claire always lead with Kingdra, and to counter it, I brought back the Sea Rock itself, Corsola. What I need Kingdra to do is high roll the incoming Hydro Pump against my Corsola so I can kill it, but unfortunately it didn't do enough damage for Mirror Code to KO. That was all fine though, because Starmie KO'd Kingdra at 3 HP, and then Charizard came out afterwards. This made me think the last Pokemon was right on, so as long as I hit my next 3 waterfalls, I would win. I got off my first one, then Charizard Body Slam paralyzed with Starmie, but I had the Paralysis Cure Barrier for this reason. After the second waterfall, Charizard was defeated. My prediction of Rhydon being last was correct. Even though Rhydon was holding a Focus Band, Waterfall was able to KO it and I won the fight. With all 8 gyms in Team Rocket cleared, all that remains is the Round 2 Elite 4. Stadium 1's Elite 4 was one of the most stressful experiences I've ever had with Pokemon battling. I had to beat the Elite 4, then the rival in one go without losing to any of them, or I'd go back to the beginning of the Elite 4. It was a constant war of hitting every necessary Thunder with Jolteon Zapdos, getting favorable teams from each opponent, praying for many fully paralysis, and avoiding as many crits as possible. So just imagine what Round 2 Elite 4 in Stadium 2 looks like. Well, let's think about what makes this game hard in the first place. My opponent's Pokemon have better stats than the rental Pokemon. They all get good moves and type coverage moves to make themselves even stronger to fight. They can hold cheap hack items to make each fight even more RNG dependent. Elite Four members can have diverse teams instead of using Pokemon of their specialized types. All of this with the same Stadium 1 Elite Four rules, where I have to beat every single Elite Four member and champion to conquer Gym Leader Castle. It has to sound like the most difficult Elite Four ever, right? Well, actually no. It is true that this game's Round 2 Elite Four has everything I just said, but there's two big differences with this Elite Four and Stadium 1 Round 2's Elite Four. The first thing is that most rentals are good enough to beat this league. Throughout this game, you may have noticed that I've been mostly using the same rentals in each cup and gym. These rentals don't have too many risky moves to use like Stadium 1 rentals did. In that game, it was mostly me relying on hitting every Thunder, Sleep Powder, Hypnosis, and the occasional Fire Blast to win the fights. In this game, I've been using moves like Counter, Miracle, Destiny Bond, and some solid 100% accurate moves to win the fights. Sometimes I need to hit a Thunder and Zap Cannon, but otherwise Stadium 2 battles require less luck and more skill to win. Most of the luck I've had to fight was getting good teams which I can manipulate and the hack items most Pokemon had. The Elite Four won't be that different from what I battled throughout this game. Now the second reason, and this is the biggest one, is because unlike Stadium 1 where they had no ace Pokemon and their team of 3 was random, Stadium 2 Elite Four and Champion all have aces, making team planning a lot easier than Stadium 1. That, and they have all some sort of gimmick or strategy they love to use, so they're just like any other trainer in this game, but stronger. That being said, however, I was feeling a bit bored using the exact same strategies throughout the game. So I decided for the Stadium 2 Round 2 Elite Four, I'm going to try using some new Pokemon and limit myself to just one user of Counter, Miracle, and Destiny Bond. I do think this Elite Four is still the hardest part of the game, as winning 5 battles in a row is a lot more stressful than anything else this game provides, but it's nowhere near the hardest thing about Stadium. Last thing to mention before I get to Elite Four team is how long this section took me to beat. Stadium 1's Elite Four took me 9 hours, 35 attempts, and 2 streams. Stadium 2's Elite Four, however, only took me 4 hours total, 7 attempts, and 1 stream to beat it. I will explain later why it only took me this long, but that should tell you how significantly easier this Elite Four is than the nightmares of Stadium 1's Elite Four. Now, let's begin the Elite Four team building. I'm not going to lie, I like the team building style I went with last time, so I'm going to be covering my team the same way I did for the first video. My plan is to cover my 6 Pokemon, what items to give, and how they'll contribute to the team. First off, unlike Stadium where I only used 5 and had a Magikarp for funnies, I will be using all 6 of my Pokemon this time. I came up with this team an hour before I had to stream it, by the way, so maybe there were better options looking back, but I still like the team I came up with. Starting off the team, I have Fearow with no item. This is by far one of the best rentals in the game. Drill Peck and Hyper Beam are incredible stats to have. Toxic has a use against Koga, and even Pursuit got 1 use in this league. Fearow's stats aren't as amazing compared to most other flying types, but it gets the job done. Plus it'll be useful against Will, Koga, and Bruno, but kinda falls after that. It's an easy pick for any Elite Four team. Second Pokemon is the newcomer Bitterberry Primeape. Now I'm not gonna lie, this Primeape was a bit of a forced pick because I don't think it's good. Curse is very anti-synergy since Primeape isn't that tanky and is quite fast, and its attacking moves are the inaccurate Cross Chop and the 60 power Dig. Really, I'm just using Primeape for Karen's Swagger strategy, which is why I have a Bitterberry, and believe it or not, for Lance. Cross Chop, especially after a Swagger, will be threatening enough to make Primeape usable, but it is quite the stretch in my eyes. Still, welcome to the team, Primeape. Next is a returning member from the Stadium 1 Elite Four, Kadabra. It used to have the terrible move Psybeam, but made up for it with Thunder Wave. Now it sadly doesn't have Thunder Wave, but it makes up for it with Psychic and Thunder Punch. Kadabra's here to beat Will and Koga. Despite being strong against Bruno's fighting types, Kadabra really doesn't do anything spectacular against Bruno, so it'll also fall off after Koga. Still, it was another easy pick for the team. Entering member number 4 is Paralysis Kiraberry Magneton, another newcomer. In the spirit of relying on Thunder for content, I decided to be funny and silly by picking this Magneton, and it surprisingly has some good advantages in this league over most Pokemon. Yes, it has Thunder and 2 other useless moves, but it also has Thunder Wave and the beautiful Steel typing. It blocks all Toxics from Koga, has a lot of resistances, and can spread Paralysis with no problems. It'll come in handy against Will, Koga, Karen, and even Lance, so yeah, Magneton fits in the team perfectly. The 5th Pokemon will be Starmie without an item. I've used this Pokemon a lot in this playthrough in Stadium 1, but never for an Elite Four team. Starmie isn't actually that great or necessary for most of this league, but it's here solely to help me beat Bruno. Starmie outspeeds all of his Pokemon and can get some good damage off with Waterfall. I don't remember using any of its other 3 moves, so that's how you know it's very limited for this league. The final Pokemon will be Wobbuffet with a berry, who covers my 1 counter, Mirror Coat, and Decibond rule I made. Honestly, without Wobbuffet, I don't think I would be able to beat this league, or this game at all. As long as I guess correctly on what moves my opponents will use and I don't get crit, Wobbuffet will get KOs against Bruno, Karen, and Lance. With a team built, let's head on over to the Elite Four. The first member is Will, the Psychic type specialist. Since Psychic type isn't as broken as it was in Gen 1, his gimmick ends up being not that intimidating. He basically relies on using Pokemon to learn Psychic, which could be easily played around with a Psychic resist like my Wobbuffet and Magneton. For some reason though, he has Flareon and Mantine, both of which do not learn Psychic. My guess is that Flareon is there to scare off any bug types like Heracross and Scizor, and Mantine can take Dark type attacks? I don't know, I think Mantine's the most random pick possible for Will, to be honest. It even has Wing Attack with base 40 attack, like, what? Anyways, this battle is pretty easy. Wobbuffet is here to counter or Mirror Coat Will's lead Pokemon like Flareon's Shadow Ball or Electabuzz' Thunderbolt. It can also get off a Deathly Bond against Hypno if Hypno bothers KOing it. Chansey relies on me using Mirror Coat for a slow but winnable fight, as long as Wobbuffet doesn't get frozen or paralyzed from Ice Beam and Thunderbolt respectively. We'll always bring Xatu with Bright Powder, so I can use Magneton to slow it down with Thunder Wave, then pray to hit a 66% Thunder to when it KOs Xatu. Xatu also can't deal much damage to Magneton unless it gets many special defense drops with Psychic. The only way I can lose this fight is if the lead Pokemon like Electabuzz and Flareon use the incorrect moves against my Wobbuffet. With that said, yeah, one of those possibilities happened and I lost to Will only once because of it.
But really, what can I beat with Magneton anyway besides Xatu? I think it's a loss. It's okay, it's only the first Elite Four member, but like, I already want to win. Come on.
Oh, it's Magneton! It's down to the last Pokemon now. One Pokemon faces 2 now. What's this? Not very effective. Oh,
Yeah, this attempt wasn't even good anyway. I mean, I got Fire Blasted the whole time. Spadef drop, like, no, and now it needs a Thunder Miss. Alright, cool, thank you. Resetting this attempt.
The next member is Koga, the Poison type specialist. He used to be the Future City Gym Leader, but now he's upgraded to Elite 4 status. You know, for a Poison type specialist, you'd think he would pick better Poison types than Venomoth and Ariados. I get that he has these two in the main games, but this is round 2. There's way better options for Poison types than these two like Muck, Nidoking, and Weezing. So what happened, Koga? Anyways, this might sound crazy, but Koga's the easiest of the Elite Four. His gimmick is, you guessed it, Toxic! With Double Team, and Confuse Ray, and Baton Pass. All hack strategies in one team, and yet he manages to be the easiest because all of his Pokemon do the same thing. There's no strong sweeper Pokemon on the team with good moves like a Snorlax. They all have the same Double Team, Toxic, some other status move, and one offensive move. Some of these Pokemon don't even have stab moves like Psybeam Venomoth or Ariados and Earthquake Stantler. In the end, Koga has an annoying Double Team and Toxic heavy team, but it threatens nothing when they have only one offensive move. His team is a complete joke, and it's kinda embarrassing that it went from having a passable team in Stadium 1 to having a trash team as an Elite 4 member in Stadium 2. So for this battle, I let with Firo as Koga always leads with Bright Powder Venomoth, which is also his ace. Now, it can be annoying to try to hit his Double Team Pokemon, but it's very likely to land 2 Drill Pecks in a row on Venomoth even after Double Team. And I get so many chances to hit it. Lancer's usually next, and it likes to Confuse Ray Firo first turn. This means I can get off a Toxic to slowly KO Lantern and then switch from Magneton next turn to block Toxic. That's another reason why Koga's easy. A Steel type like a Magneton could just shut down Koga's Toxic gimmick altogether. Then he uses Confuse Ray on Magneton so I can just switch to Firo on Kadabra to take it, and go back to Magneton on the Toxic, and repeat the cycle until it's KO'd. While I never battled Lapras in my attempts, I can assume the same process for Lantern can be done towards Lapras as it has the same status moves. Firo and Kadabra both beat Stantler, Magmar, and Ariados with some good hits. Koga was so easy that I didn't even lose to him in any of my attempts, so let's just move on. Upgraded from Elite 4 member 2 to member 3 is Bruno. He is the fighting type specialist and he is also the only returning Elite 4 member. We all know Bruno is a joke in every Pokemon game. He always finds a way to have the worst fighting types in the main games like Onix 1 and Onix 2, and his strongest Pokemon tend to have no good moves like his Hitmonchan with the elemental punches. Keep in mind these were special attacks in Gen 2, and Hitmonchan's special attack is base 35, so those moves were barely doing any damage. Even in Stadium 1, his team wasn't great because he had a Hitmonlee, which back then had a 35 special and was extremely frail because of it. Now comes Stadium 2 Round 2 Bruno, and yeah, he's the hardest of the Elite Four members by a landslide. First off, take a look at this stacked team. Yes, 2 fighting types, but wow, the rest of his team is quite good. The main reason he's difficult is because his gimmick is not just pure offense, but also one-hit KO moves. Now yes, only Machamp and Golem have Fissure, but he also has some crazy strategies like counter Ursaring at Primeape and Explosion Exeggutor. He does not mess around this time. So for this fight, I use Wobbuffet, and the first issue is that Quick Claw Machamp is Ace, likes to Fissure it. I bring Fearow for this reason, as they can switch into it and Drill Peck against Machamp and the occasional Exeggutor. The other issue is that he tends to also bring Bright Powder Golem, which is why I bring Starmie. Gramble can be beaten by Wobbuffet, but Ursaring can either slash or crunch it, so I have to guess correctly when battling it or use Dusty Bond. Primeape might take some combination for Fearow and Wobbuffet, but it should also be beatable. If Machamp activates Quick Claw too much, or Waterfall misses against Golem too much, or I guess wrong against Ursaring, it leads to a loss. Surprisingly, I only lost one attempt to Bruno.
Maybe I have a shot. I think I have to just pray on a crit Hyper Beam. That's all I can do because I'm not going to kill Ursaring. But that being said, it's not likely to happen. But you never know, a guy can dream.
This Pokemon is back for another go. This is the last Pokemon. The
Drill Peck.
battle continues.
Awesome, no Quick Claw. I have a shot.
Ow, Drill Peck. Man,
That does kill.
perfectly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, it's going down.
But it's likely not my favor to win this.
Each team has only one Pokemon left for battle.
Because he's a kill.
Pokemon appears
I have to crit with,
It's down to the last
I just have to crit.
Pokemon
That's
now.
all I can do.
It's just one on
Crit
one
Hyper
now.
Beam. Let's go. Let's get it. Crit Hyper Beam.
Sharp attack.
Nope. That's a loss.
Finally, we have Karen, the Dark-type specialist. Her gimmick is mainly Swagger, with some other combos like Thunder Wave, Mean Look, Pear Song, and Screech to increase confusion damage from Swagger. This is where Primeape shines, sort of. Since she likes the Swagger so much, I can take advantage of it and give Primeape the Bitterberry to cure the confusion and get a +2 attack from it. It'll come in handy especially against her ace Umbreon. The issue, however, is that she usually leads with Electrode, not Umbreon. Sure, Primeape can consistently KO it, but it tends to waste my Bitterberry, and then Misdreavus or Slowbro will force my Primeape to switch out and lose the +2 attack. Also, +2 Cross Chop doesn't even want to KO Electrode, so I need to land 2 Cross Chops to KO it in 2 turns. As for Misdreavus the Comet Pokemon, I actually had Wobbuffet for most of my Karen attempts, but I started realizing how useless it is against her. Eventually, I started using Fearow, and it was a lot more helpful for KOing this Misdreavus. Primeape, Fearow, and Magneton can all beat Umbreon as long as I have Magneton alive to Thunder Wave it and switch out to another Pokemon to avoid Swagger. If not, that's why Primeape is here. Umbreon conveniently has Psychic for Primeape, so I do have to watch out for it. Primeape also deals with Persian as long as it can get off a Cross Chop, and Magneton deals with Slowbro and Murkrow as long as it gets off Thunders. If not, once again, Fearow comes in. Really, as long as I can dodge Swagger confusion hacks, Karen isn't too bad. With that said, I did lose my first attempt to her because I didn't know her AI patterns.
I should just save Primeape for something else.
Trying to take the opponent with it. Fake attack. That's it. It took the opponent down with it. There it is. Knockout. It's taking its
Yeah, it's very
opponent
cool.
down with it.
Why do I do this, honestly? Like, why would you Psychic on the Magneton and use Main Attack there?
This is one
Yeah, there's no way I can win from here. You can send out literally anything and I'll lose.
Oh, it's Mystery Bus.
Maybe if you Pain Split, you could always do that. You could always Pain Split to get me back in the
The
game.
Pokemon appears.
I can wall Electrode.
It's down to the
Maybe.
last Pokemon now.
Pain
One
Split.
Pokemon faces 2 now.
Oh, that's just mean, dude. Yeah, I'm not winning now. There's no way to win.
Both Pokemon will face
Yeah, there's no way
turn.
I can win. Even if I hit this. Even if I crit, I can't win.
The shot.
Yeah, no. That's a loss. Electrode is never gonna die to Magneton.
After beating the Elite Four without losing, you have to now fight the champion Lance. He was the last Elite Four member of Stadium 1, but now he's upgraded to champion status. First off, wow, his team is a direct upgrade from Stadium 1. He finally remembered to bring Dragonite to his team, something he didn't do for some reason in the last game. The rest of his team is pretty strong too. He still has Kangaskhan and Arcanine, but Tyranitar, Aerodactyl, and Feraligatr are much more suited for his Dragon team than his last team. So this fight is harder than the entirety of the Elite Four simply because it relies on guessing correctly with Wobbuffet. Lance's gimmick is Hyper Beam, and he loves to spam it. As long as I guess when Lance will use Hyper Beam, Wobbuffet should be able to get 1 KO at the very least. But it's not always the case because of one Pokemon, Tyranitar. This Pokemon pretty much destroys Wobbuffet as it can just crunch it to death and block off Mirror Coat thanks to its Dark typing. Primeape is also here to beat this Tyranitar, but one miss on Cross Chop and it's dead. Lance also tends to switch to Dragonite, and for some reason I didn't think this would happen, so I constantly took damage when switching to Magneton on Wobbuffet. Speaking of Magneton, it resists all of Dragonite's moves, so I can usually get off a Thunder Wave to slow it down. The issue is Wobbuffet can't really beat it from there, and Primeape only has Cross Chop to hit Dragonite. This basically means I have to hit every Thunder possible, or get off a counter with Wobbuffet if possible. Wobbuffet is also needed to counter any one of his other Pokemon possible. Arcanine and Feraligatr are the worst to deal with because they can choose a physical or special attack against Wobbuffet, and I have to guess right or I lose. Lance beat me 3 times total.
There's just no way I can win. There legit is no way I can win. Miss Blizzard, I don't know. No, Surf's gonna kill me. Yeah. I have 1 Cross Chop left. That miss costed the game. It's just unfortunate, but I think that is a strategy we have to do. That sucks. But we can definitely win this with this team. It is definitely possible, as we saw.
It's down to the last Pokemon now. What?
Hyper Beam. We live this. A crit! Oh, come on, dude! I got crit!
Just like that.
That kills me with a crit. Now I lose. Yeah, I lose. Yeah, I lose now. I lose. Primeape can't 1v1 Dragonite. It would have like... No, it can't.
Oh, it's Primeape. It's down to the last Pokemon now. 1 Pokemon...
I can kill Kangaskhan. Cool, who cares? And I'm slower anyway.
Can't move.
That crit hard mattered. Are you kidding me?
Sharp attack. A powerful blow.
Oh, it doesn't kill even. Yeah, I'm not winning this.
Continue.
Miss Hyper Beam. You deserve a miss after that crit.
There it is. Hyper Beam. It's
Double crit. Okay. That is Bright Powder, not Scoplins. I just got 1 in 256. That was just mean.
That settles this battle.
Now yes, I only showed 2 attempts. I'm doing this because I want to showcase attempt 4, which I think was my best run in this league. Let's see how I performed.
Whoa!
But it's not a Ludo stream without without constantly losing the Elite Four in Stadium.
Bars away. The leadoff batter is Will, the psychic Pokemon user.
I like the buzz. Cool. Mirror Coat. Rolling Kick.
Here's the first move.
Why? It's legit random when it does. That's so dumb. That flinch doesn't matter. I was never gonna hit it. Thunderbolt me. Thunderbolt. Why? Why are you rolling kicking now? Thunderbolt. I don't get it. I legit don't get it.
Oh, that was weak.
Thunderbolt.
How's that? Whoops, that missed.
You're wasting my time, Electabuzz. Oh my goodness.
That didn't accomplish much.
You know what? Watch this, guys. I'm gonna click counter right now. You ready? I'm gonna click counter, and he's gonna go for Thunderbolt. Ready? Watch this 5-head read of my opponent. I'm gonna counter. You're gonna Thunderbolt. Okay, never mind. It really doesn't matter, though. I mean, you're gonna flinch me. No, I mean, it doesn't matter. This does literally nothing.
That did little damage.
Now you're gonna Thunderbolt, right?
Heated action continues. How's that?
I don't get it. Why is he rolling kicking now? Thunderbolt. Now you Thunderbolt. Thank you. Don't kill me. Thank you. I'm gonna Destiny Bond this in case you Shadow Ball. You're a Shadow Ball, yeah.
Wow, you Shadow Ball. That's it.
Oh, this is the dumbness of this AI. It just uses rolling kick like 8 times in a row and then Thunderbolt. Fire Blast. That won't kill me, thankfully.
Great hit.
I have to Hyper Beam here though and hit it. If not, we lose. Simple as that.
There it is. Hyper hit.
Thank you. And now we hit Thunder. That's all.
Down in
Okay, Magneton hit Thunder and we're good. 63%. Surely.
one Pokemon. Here it comes.
Oh no, I missed.
No.
I can tell when the announcer says it now. Like, if the announcer doesn't say, will this be it? Then, yeah, I'm just thinking that he's just gonna...
What now?
It's just not gonna, you know...
That didn't do.
It's not gonna weed. It's not gonna hit.
Will this decide it?
Okay, I think it's a hit. Thank you. A crit. Good one, Magneton. You couldn't crit the... Okay.
The next opponent is Koga. The challenger must avoid being mesmerized by this skillful ninja.
Yes, very skillful. Uses double team as a very huge skill. Alright, crit that Venomoth. Crit that Venomoth, Vero. You could do it. Crit that Venomoth. I'm really curious to see how I'm gonna make this a video. Like,
There's the attack. That struck home.
at least I have good content with the Elite Four again.
Drill peck.
Alright, nice.
Yes, it's a hit.
Also, should mention this right now.
Down it
I don't think I ever mentioned this at all in Stadium 1, but there's a little thing you can actually do. One thing I learned from the rentals in this game compared to Stadium 1, Pikachu has Surf. And that made me realize something. I never went over how you can even get Surf on Pikachu with Stadium 1, because there is a way to do it. To do so, first off, bring your own Pikachu from Yellow, the one you get from the beginning of the game, the special Pikachu. All you have to do from there is challenge the Prime Cup Master Ball difficulty in round 2. Then you have to bring Pikachu in every battle. You don't have to send it out in the battle, but you have to, like, when choosing your 3 Pokemon, one of them always has to be Pikachu. And then afterwards, win the cup. And then that's it. You win. And then you get the Pikachu to learn Surf. That is how you get Surfing Pikachu in Gen 1. You're going to use Toxic, right. We learned that. We could beat you easily.
The trainer. What will it do? It becomes
One day we'll hit this Thunder. One day. Thank you. Now hit the Thunder.
There it goes. No, returning to its Pokeball. Oh, it's Kadabra.
Alright, Kadabra. Do it for me. Hit the Psychic for me.
How's that? Whoops, that missed. What's next? Wearing the bow down appears to be the plan.
Are you gonna confuse me, or... Either way, just going Magneton. Maybe I should bring Fear... No, not Fearow. What am I saying? For Lance. No, I bring Primeape.
What's this?
Still. Yeah, I still bring Primeape.
It's become confused. Ow!
Maybe I couldn't have won against Lance there. I'm trying to think. What would have happened if I landed that Cross Chop? What would have come out? Dragonite? Yeah, but then for Alligator, seems like a win, but it's really not a win yet, because I think for Alligator it's Crunch. And that's super effective on Wobbuffet. But I could have just countered it. No, I still could have definitely won.
Pokemon is switching out.
The only way I would have lost if it used Blizzard on Wobbuffet constantly, which would be really dumb. But then how do we beat Dragonite? Now I think about it. I guess we just have to hit Thunders.
The attack.
But I feel like there is a way to win. I just don't know how to do it. Well, obviously I know. Just Haunter. But I don't know. Because, like, if it does get bad, I might just use Haunter instead of Starmie. We'll see.
The third opponent is Bruno. How will the challenger bear up against the punishment?
And Haunter just, like, gets us a free win against a lot of other Pokemon, which is just nice. And then we can use Primeape still. Exeggutor! This is new. It could Giga Drain or it could just explode immediately. And I don't know what it's gonna do. If it explodes, free kill, but I don't know, to be honest. I'm just gonna Mirror Coat to see what it does. It could even switch out, which it is, should known.
Switching Pokemon. That Pokemon must not have been the right choice.
And the Machamp or who else?
Oh, it's
Machamp, okay. We just go into Fearow, simple as that. Alright, here we go.
How will this
Quick Claw 1.
Pokemon fare?
Oh, you have Golem, don't you?
Here comes. Oh, it's Golem.
And I got a Rock Slide.
This
I'm going to Starmie.
affect the there it
Miss. Darn it. I have to Waterfall. Regardless of if he switches out or not, I have to Waterfall. Yeah, he's gonna switch out Exeggutor. A critical hit. I'm gonna go to Fearow. Hopefully this doesn't backfire. And honestly, like, if I lose, I think I should just go bust out the big guns and go Haunter. Because I don't think it's possible without Haunter. No, what am I saying? It is. But I really don't want to sit through here again. Alright, Giga Drain, awesome. But on the downside, now is going to be fighting Machamp. Fighting Machamp becomes a lot more difficult, so maybe that was the incorrect play. Because he's just going to go back to Golem. Oh, no, I'm going to stay in. Okay. Oh, I have Ancient Power. What am I saying? Oh, crit. Huge. Crit. Nice crit. I knew I was going to crit, y'all. Come on. Unfortunately, Golem comes out again. But on the plus side, we can go to Starmie again. We're going to go to Starmie again, yeah. Starmie can kill this thing, and if he switches out, then Machamp will take damage.
This Pokemon is rejoining the battle. A furious attack.
So we should live this. Nice.
That inflicted some damage.
Ooh, nice. You're probably gonna switch out.
Will this Pokemon switch have on the battle?
Yep. You're that terrified.
Trainer switching
Crit again.
What's next? A
Nope.
light hit.
Okay, you're staying in. Crit again. That would love a crit.
There's the attack. A powerful blow.
Or a kill. Darn it.
Wow, rock slide.
So this is my favorite to win, but it's not guaranteed to win. That crit did not matter. I was gonna die to that.
Down it goes.
It's not a guaranteed win yet. As you guys remember, Machamp has Quick Claw.
Will appear in HP.
We're gonna kill both of these Pokemon, but we gotta...
on each side.
Alright, that's one. Awesome, Machamp is dead. Now we gotta fight Bright Powder. And we win. Simple as that.
Oh, it has
Come on. Come on, Starmie.
Could this be it?
Nice. Let's go.
And now the challenger faces
Yeah, Primeape lead again.
the last of the Elite Four. Will the challenger be able to thwart her dark-type Pokemon and taste sweet victory?
Please, Umbreon. For once. Just Umbreon. Please. Umbreon. Electrode. That's fine, I guess. I'm gonna dig here this time to see what it does. I'm going to just sack the run here. Do hit me, please.
Look at that.
I think she does switch out. Alright, nice.
The fusion made it tougher.
I mean, if it's Umbreon, then cool.
They're both hanging tough.
No, you're just gonna sack Electrode. Okay.
That drilled a weakness.
This kills? That doesn't kill? Are you kidding me? Now I have to cross chop, because Dig is gonna... I should have known, though. Primeape's attack is not very good.
What's this?
But with +2, surely.
The fusion made it tougher.
Alright, hit it.
Wham! Cross chop.
Nice. you can hear a little sound as to when it hits or not. If it's like, if you hear an actual impact sound, it hits. And if it does like a little, then it misses. You gotta really have good ears for that. And then unfortunately, your boy's known Stadium 2 for quite a few years. I'd say like 10 years or so. And I should go into Magneton probably. Cause probably can't do anything against Revis. And now you got Mean Look. Oh no, you got Perish Song.
Oh no, Perish Song. Both Pokemon will faint in 3 turns.
You're gonna use Mean Look here. I'm gonna go into Fearow then.
Oh, it's Fearow.
Yep.
Mean Look. Oh no, that Pokemon can't be switched.
Drill Peck. This should do a good amount of damage.
What now? Hit. That inflicted some damage. What's next?
Does that reset the counter? I'm curious.
Both Pokemon will faint in 3 turns.
For you. I don't think it does reset the counter.
The Perish Song countdown is 1.
Are you gonna sack Revis? Hold on. Cause so I'm just gonna use Pursuit. Yeah, yeah, Pursuit, get red, nerd! Yo, look at me go! And now I can switch out because Mean Look only works if you're staying in, which you clearly are not, into Umbreon.
Oh, it's Umbreon!
Umbreon does not have Mean Look, as we've learned. Yo, look at my big brain go! You're gonna go for Swagger, I can tell. Okay.
How's that? Oh, its confusion made it tougher. How will this Pokemon switch affect?
Now you should Screech. Please Screech. Just Screech. You should be Screeching here. Please do not do anything else. Oh, you're switching out? Oh, right, Ms. Revis is still alive. I forgot about Ms. Revis, to be honest. It's gonna Pain Spray, yeah. I'm gonna go into Fearow.
It's a revolving door of Pokemon.
Hope you guys like switching. There's a Perish Song. Oh, I killed you for free, actually. Nice. Bye. You're gonna die unless you switch out to Umbreon. Yeah, bye-bye. Y'all, figure out this puzzle out. I can literally read the Karen like a book now. Now you're dead. Bye. I can switch out to anybody else I want. Alright, bye. So now you're gonna go for Swagger. Actually, I can get some damage off. I have to switch out next turn anyway, and you don't Mean Look, as we saw. So I'm just gonna Drill Peck you. I almost Hyper Beam. That would have been embarrassing. The only thing we gotta play around now is Focus Band. I should Toxic. What am I doing? So now we go Magneton. You should be Screeching here. Alright. Wait, why did I Thunder Wave? Why did I do that? Whatever. We'll still get a win eventually. Oh, I just noticed I haven't taken any damage. Y'all, I'm too cracked. No damage run. It's alive. Lol, you fail. I should use Primate. What am I doing? One more. One more paralysis and we should have an even better win. Oh, a critical hit even. Okay. Paralysis. Okay. Oh, wait, you attacked me. No! Rip the damage run. The no damage run. Alright, hit the Thunder, get the Focus Band, and we win. Come on. Get this over with. That's a miss. Oh, the double crit. Okay. Alright. Lance again, y'all. I can't believe this team is still making it to Lance. If I lose, I'm just gonna go to Haunter and get rid of Starmie. I think I proved to you guys enough that I could definitely win this, but like, this is my playthrough. I can do whatever I want. But I'm still like, I think I've given a good variety of Pokemon to use. Like Magneton. Who expects me to use a Magneton in this league? Okay, crunch me on Primate, please. There's Crunch. Okay. But,
Opening gambit.
like, that doesn't do anything. But the issue is I need you to stay in now. Which you're not going to stay in. Yeah.
Here comes. Oh, that was
Okay, now we have to go to Magneton. Hyper Beam me, please. Hyper Beam. Okay. Now we get a free Thunder Wave. On the Dragonite especially, that's huge. So now here's the issue. I don't know the game plan against Dragonite with Magneton. Like, it just takes hits, and that's it. My gosh, my voice cracks are really showing. But I've been talking for 2.5 hours, so surely... Huh? I should have Thunder Waved again. To Tyranitar?
The Pokeball
Yep.
opens to reveal its Pokemon. There it goes.
Oh my gosh, clutch! Huge! I really need you to stay paralyzed. You're gonna Earthquake here.
Pokemon is back for
Stay paralyzed, please. Please, 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 please. Darn it. Stay in.
sharp attack. Hit.
Okay, we live that.
Good.
Stay in, please.
What impact will this
Stay in,
Pokemon
please.
switch have on the
For
battle?
once. No, dude, come on.
Here comes. Whoop. That
And it missed anyway. Ice Beam.
What next? It's not very effective.
Stay paralyzed? Nope, you're a Hyper Beam.
What's that? That didn't do much.
Wait, why did I Thunder? I should have Swifted! I'm dumb, please hit this. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That would have been the biggest misplay ever.
Knockout. Oh, it's
For Alligator?
The opponent-
Okay.
What an opportunity. There's a big
I'm slower,
difference
definitely.
between the two
Yeah.
combatants.
So now we play a guessing game. Oh no! This is gonna come down to a freaking guess. Is it Surf or Hyper Beam it uses? I think it's gonna Hyper Beam. I think it's gonna Hyper Beam. I think it's gonna Hyper Beam.
Pokemon remain on each side.
Please Hyper Beam. Oh no.
Trainers switching Pokemon.
Oh no. Forgot about that.
This Pokemon is back for another go.
Forgot about that, to be honest. Stay paralyzed. That's all I can do. Stay paralyzed. Please. 25%.
Here
Please give it
comes
to me.
the Pokemon switch. The Pokeball
Please.
opens.
Please.
Pokemon.
Stay paralyzed.
Oh, it's low on HP.
Yes!
Gripped by paralysis. How will this
Cross chop.
Pokemon withstand
Please.
the flow of battle?
No!
This Pokemon.
Nope.
What impact
Go back to
will
Wobbuffet.
Pokemon switch have on the
How much does Surf do?
a light hit?
I think it's gonna Hyper Beam. Please Hyper Beam. Please Hyper Beam and I could have a chance to win. No!
What's this?
Oh no.
That's it.
I have to counter. That's so dumb!
What's next?
It surfed 3 times in a row. I lose now.
Hit. That was good.
I should have Destiny Bonded. There's no way I can win now.
What's it do?
Unless it misses Hyper Beam and I get off with Destiny Bond. Which it's not gonna use Hyper Beam on me. Wait! Miss! 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 Please miss! Please miss! Please miss! 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 Nope.
Yes, it's a hit. Oh, it's
I should have used Destiny Bond. It's all random what he does. I should have Destiny Bonded. I could have won that game.
Pokemon left.
Wait, hold on, hold on, hold on. I could still win this, hold on.
This Pokemon is back.
He used Hyper Beam. He has to recharge.
It's down to
I have to
the
hit all my
last
cross
Pokemon
chops.
now.
No, I have to crit this.
The white-hot battle continues.
I have to crit this. I need to crit this. Hit and crit, and then hit the cross chop and I win. Nope. It's gonna be a freaking roll to kill.
Can't move.
I need to hit this, get the range. Paralysis. Nope, I missed.
Total miss. Will this do it?
I almost won that. Almost.
Unfortunately, this attempt made me give up with my current team I had. I know, 4 attempts and I'm already swapping teams. Pretty sad of me, but look at the RG I had to get to win that fight. The fact that it came down to the guessing correctly on Feraligatr showed that that team could have won. I did have to play better in that situation, but I honestly just wanted to win already. So, I broke my rule of having one Destiny Bond user, and I decided to add Haunter over Starmie on my team on attempts 5, 6, and 7. Haunter gives me a higher win rate against Bruno and Lance, so I brought it instead of Starmie for Bruno and Magneton for Lance. The rest of the teams were still the same for every fight. Now yes, I do feel ashamed not committing to the team I made for attempts 1 through 4, but I think I proved to you all that the team can absolutely win. I was just unlucky against Lance's Feraligatr. You can't say I didn't try making a unique team at least, and at the end of the day, this is my playthrough. I can do whatever I want. With that said, let's continue with attempt 7. For Bruno, the plan was Haunter as the Destiny Bond Executor or Ursa Ring. Machamp is possible, but a quick claw proc makes it a guaranteed loss. With Lance, Haunter can Destiny Bond Feraligatr the common lead, or Tyranitar, which also requires a quick claw dodge. Aerodactyl and Arcanine both outspeed Haunter, so Wobbuffet is required to beat either and Dragonite. Anyways, let's take a look at Lance in attempt 7 since I've already shown a Elite 4 winning attempt.
Finally, this is absolutely it.
Come on.
Battle. The opponent is Lance. The curtains have risen for this fateful encounter.
Feraligatr. Again. Nice. Destiny Bond, free kill. I mean, like, this song still bobs, but it just feels so weird hearing it, the rival music with Lance. It feels really weird. So eventually, at one point, we gotta hear the actual champion music, right? Well, yes, we will hear it.
Oh my, this is one wild situation.
Who do you have?
Oh, it's Koga.
Kangaskhan again. Where have I seen this situation before? Counter. Hyper Beam. Wow, look at that! No crit this time.
Awesome counter. What impressive.
Alright, Dragonite left. I really should have brought Kadabra, because like now I can still lose this.
Oh, it's Dragonite.
Dragonite, here we go.
Down to the last Pokemon now. It used its held item to restore HP.
Counter.
The number of remaining Pokemon is 2 to 1.
Here we go! Last move!
A serious attack.
Yes!
That inflicted some damage.
We hold it! That's it! We win! Thank goodness! I was gonna lose my mind if that crit. We are done! Finally! Let's go! Yeah, I do feel bad that I had to use Haunter, yes, but I deserve it. I've made the stream long enough to say that it was worth it. Huge! Thank you so much for following, appreciate it.
And there we have it! With only 7 attempts, the Elite Four has been defeated. Gym Leader Castle is now done, right? Wrong! Gym Leader Castle is not over yet! Instead of finishing here, I have just conquered the Johto Gym Leader Castle. And now I have unlocked the Kanto Gym Leader Castle, which includes all 8 Kanto Gym Leaders. You remember the Gym Leaders from the last game? They're back, and this time we have to beat them all again. Plus these guys have changed drastically since the last game. So, let's hop right in, shall we? Okay, I hate to all of a sudden change the tone, and I know this video is already long enough to include a section like this, but I need to address what happened immediately after I beat the Elite Four. So, the day I was ready to stream the Kanto Gym Leader section of this game, I booted up my Stadium 2 game and something odd happened. My title screen was reverted back to its original scene when you first play the game. Round 1 was the only option I had. My continue from the infinite continue glitch was gone, and all the cups in Gym Leader Castle weren't cleared. The only thing I noticed was that my registered teams from my streams were still saved, yet my entire save data of the game seemed to have restarted somehow. I was extremely devastated when I saw it happen. I had lost about 95% of progress for no reason. Well, maybe there was a reason. So, here's my cartridge of Stadium 2. The cover has many scratches and it was a used copy, but it was still playable. That being said, because it was a used copy and there were many savers going on as I played the game more, I think by the time I finished round 2 Elite 4, the game battery probably died. I did as much research as possible, as I'm not familiar with game batteries for Nintendo 64 games, but this is the most common explanation I could find. The only thing I can state is that immediately after finishing round 2 Elite 4, I had a power outage near me. I did turn off Stadium 2 before the outage, but my N64 was still plugged in, so maybe that's something to do with my reset too? No matter what the reason was, I lost all my save data for Stadium 2 at this time, and I had to find a way to get back to where I was. The first solution I thought of was to replace the dead battery with a new one, but that required a lot of tools and components I just didn't have the time to look into. I was trying to rush this playthrough early in January before I went back to my spring semester in college near the end of the months. Next, I thought of playing Stadium 2 on an N64 emulator. Not only would I not have to worry about the save data loss, but I could speed up the battles and then catch up to where I was quicker. I didn't choose this option either because I spent $80 on my Stadium 2 copy, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So instead of choosing those logical options, I went with the stupid route and just played the entire game all over again on my N64, from round 1 all the way to round 2 Elite 4. This meant I had to replay all 4 tournaments and their multiple divisions, and Gym Leader Castle twice, without any speed up. All this was done off screen, so what you're seeing at the moment is just random replay footage I recorded on my own, and not from the Stadium 2 streams. During this replay, some of the battles took more time to beat than they did in my streams. On my replay, Fisherman Chase and Fire Breather Cliff took me a lot longer than I thought they would. They both took me over an hour to beat because of some really bad Thunder and team selection RNG. Challenge Cup for both rounds gave me many trash teams, especially round 2 Great Ball and Ultra Ball. This entire replay took me about 4 days total to complete. There were a lot of breaks within those 4 days from streaming and eating, but honestly I'm glad it didn't last for too long. Within those 4 days, I also decided to play New Super Mario Bros. DS since I needed something to stream and I didn't want to take another stream break. It was frustrating that this whole save data loss situation had to happen near the end of the game, but I was not about to give up right at that moment. All the time I spent playing Stadium 1 as a kid and last year has given me the patience to put up with these long battles. I love these games. They are what got me into Pokemon. While I don't have much attachment to Stadium 2 since I didn't grow up with it, I still love it for trying to follow up what made Stadium 1, my childhood game, fun in the first place. No matter how brutal these games are, they mean a lot more to me than you can imagine. With all this said, after 4 days of Stadium 2 hyperfixation, I caught up to the Elite 4 in round 2, and now I'm ready to hop back into Kanto Gym Leader Castle for round 2. Kanto Gym Leader Castle includes all 8 Kanto Gym Leaders for you to beat. This is supposed to be a parallel to GSC's post-game where you can go to Kanto and battle the gym leaders there. A big key note about this new Kanto Gym Leader Castle is that there are no regular trainers in any of these gyms, just the gym leaders themselves. All you need to do is beat them. Of course, they do have diverse teams to make themselves tougher, but I can still use the same strategies as before to win these fights. I'll even try out some funny strategies and new Pokemon this time to make this section of the game somewhat entertaining. Now, let's get into how I beat every single leader here. Brock is a bit harder now, simply because his original ace, Onyx, evolved into Steelix. Other than that, he's still pretty easy. For the first time in this playthrough, I'm relying on 1-hit KO moves to win the fight. I lead off with Seaking, and unfortunately he leads with a Bright Powder Slowbro. Thankfully, Seaking lands the very first Horn Jolt gets to KO. I Waterfall Steelix to get some damage, then I gamble another Horn Jolt and miss, getting KO'd in the process. This is fine because Starmie comes in next to Waterfall Steelix and the Rhydon afterwards. Misty's gimmick is Rain Dance, so I have to prepare to take some rain boosted water moves in this fight. Anyways, Wobbuffet Mirror Codes to lead Starmie, then I get off a Safeguard and let Wobbuffet die to Nidoqueen's Earthquake. Haunter Destiny Bonds to the Nidoqueen, and out the 1v1 between my Hitmonlee and her Dragonair. I win the 1v1, so it's another gym leader down. Lieutenant Surge is one of the harder Kanto gym leaders because of his new ace, Jolteon. Before that, I use Haunter to Destiny Bond against his Porygon 2's Psychic attack, and then it self-destruct with Weezing against his Raichu. Now I have another 1v1, but this is the first cursed 1v1 of this section of the game. Piloswine vs Jolteon seems like the easiest 1v1 ever, right? Piloswine is necessary here because it is the only ground type that is neutral to Jolteon's Hidden Power Ice, and it has Earthquake, which is a range to 1-hit KO. Hidden Power Ice also does about a quarter, so even if Piloswine doesn't get the range and Jolteon double crits, those 2 crits are a range to KO Piloswine. So why is this 1v1 cursed? Simple, Jolteon's holding a King's Rock. If Jolteon gets multiple flinches from Hidden Power Ice, then it's a loss. This would never happen in my first attempt, right? Right? No, of course not. While I miss the Earthquake range, I don't get flinched at all and I win the fight. I just wanted to build up some suspense for you guys. Erica isn't a complete joke this time compared to Stadium 1. I self-destruct with Voltorb against our lead Blissey, which doesn't KO. Firo, however, can come in and drill peck it twice to finish her off while she gets a reflect before the KO. Erica's Ninetales is sent out next, and I have to swap out to our new member, Qwilfish, on a flamethrower. Here is the second cursed 1v1. Qwilfish needs to land 2 Hydro Pumps in a row on top of Bright Powder, and Qwilfish has to dodge 2 Body Slam Paralysis in a row at the same time. I did give it the Paralysis Care Berry if it gets paralyzed the first time, but if it happens again, I'm likely screwed. Qwilfish lands both Hydro Pumps and actually KOs Ninetales on the second Hydro Pump. If I didn't get the range, then Firo will be able to finish it off. Blossom, her new ace, finishes Qwilfish with Return. Reflect wears off, and now Firo can come in for the win. I gave it a Mint Berry just in case I was put to sleep, which I was put to sleep. 2 drill picks later and Erica is defeated. Since Koga is now an Elite 4 member instead of the Fuchsia City Gym Leader, his daughter Janine is the new Fuchsia City Gym Leader. She follows Koga's footsteps by using the same strategy as him, but with different Pokemon. Double Team, Baton Pass, Toxic, and Confuse Ray. This makes her laughably easy. Voltorb's Thunder and Rain Dance allows it to hit Girafarig as it spams Double Team in the first few turns. Now I blow up a Meganium and let Ninetales finish it off with Fire Blast. Crobat is last, and the first thing I do is immediately Quick Attack while Crobat Confuse Rays. That Quick Attack damage is necessary to make my Graveler self-destruct a guaranteed KO. To get the KO, I swap the Graveler on the incoming Mean Look, and even though I forgot to give my Graveler a Bitter Berry, I still get off a self-destruct through Confusion and get a win. With the Psychic type nerf in Gen 2, you'd think Sabrina would be a joke, right? Well, somewhat, but this fight was a close one. Alakazam uses Future Sight turn 1, but then Sabrina switches out to Scizor for some reason. Scizor gets off a Light Screen, my Wobbuffet counters Metal Claw next turn, then Sabrina switches back to Alakazam. Finally, Alakazam attacks my Wobbuffet with Fire Punch, and then I get off Mirror Coat damage. Unfortunately, the second Fire Punch crits, and Wobbuffet goes down. Kingdra is the only one who could tank a Psychic, so I have to send it out and finish off Alakazam with Waterfall. Now my worn out Kingdra and Haunter have to somehow beat her Scizor and whatever her last Pokemon is. That last Pokemon turns out to be Bright Powder Sandslash, which is not good because Haunter's supposed to Destiny Bond that normally. Knowing that plan can't work since Sandslash is always Earthquaking here, I decide to save Haunter for the 1v1 against her 37 HP Scizor. Kingdra gets off a Waterfall, then baits the Earthquake. Haunter's Giga Drain beats Sandslash. Haunter's only offensive moves are Shadow Ball and Giga Drain, both of which barely do anything against Scizor, and Scizor cleanly 2-hit KOs Haunter with Metal Claw. Thankfully, Scizor throws by using Light Screen, and with no crits, Haunter ends up winning the 1v1, thus beating Sabrina. For Blaine, I found a funny strategy for him. Newcomer Geodude blows up on Mr. Mime as he uses Solar Beam turn 1. Next up is Graveler vs Moltres, and here's where this funny strategy would come in. But it didn't work. Moltres uses Sunny Day as I use Sandstorm in the same turn, so now Sand is active. I predicted Blaine would switch out to Vileplume in rage of what I just did to his Sunny Day strategy, but instead he stayed in and Fire Blasted my Graveler. This strategy also backfires because I end up missing Self-Destruct thanks to Bright Powder. Now I get another cursed 1v1 between my Aerodactyl and his Moltres. Ancient Power is a 2-hit KO against Moltres, so I need 2 hits in a row to KO it normally. However, in this situation, I got some sand damage on Moltres, thus I only need to hit 1. Even then, Moltres has Steel Wing, which also 2-hit KOs my Aerodactyl. It lands 1 and now Aerodactyl is very weakened for the 1v1. The last Pokemon, Arcanine, seems like a blessing, especially since it's Sunny Days first. But Ancient Power is a 3-hit KO, and I get no crits, no boosts, no Fire Blast dodges, and I lose. Next attempt, Geodude blows up on Mr. Mime again, and now Vileplume comes out next instead of Moltres. It's another Solar Beam user, so Graveler can blow up safely to bring back the cursed 1v1. Aerodactyl ends up landing 2 Ancient Powers to win the fight. Giovanni is nowhere to be found in GSC, so he's not in this game either. Instead, our rival from Red, Blue, and Yellow, Blue, is now the Ace Gym Leader. Unlike every other Gym Leader, he doesn't specialize in any types, he doesn't use any gimmicks, and he doesn't have an ace. It's just 6 Pokemon and he chooses any 3 he wants. This makes him automatically the hardest Gym Leader in the game. I know I mentioned Morty being the hardest, but that was for Johto Gym Leaders, not out of all Gym Leaders. Anyways, I'm using Hitmonchan, Corsola, and Pineco for the battle, but I'm also bringing the Bulbasaur family to manipulate Blue to lead with either Scyther or Gengar. He leads Scyther and I lead Corsola for this reason. Blue switches to Gengar, but it's okay. I can simply Mirror Coat the incoming Thunderbolt along with dodging a fully Paralysis the same turn. Kingdra finishes Corsola off, and now Pineco needs to get a high roll with Explosion for Hitmonchan's Mach Punch to KO. Unfortunately, 22 HP is not low enough. Hitmonchan gets a clutch crit with Mach Punch to make up for that low roll. This ends up not mattering because Scyther gets a crit with Wing Attack before I get to use Counter, so I ended up as a loss. Next attempt, Blue leads Gengar and I can Mirror Coat it once again. Now Miltank is the next Pokemon after it KOs Corsola. Blue switches to Houndoom as I explode with Pineco to KO it. Miltank gets a paralysis from Body Slam and Hitmonchan gets fully paralyzed the same turn. Next turn I get off a counter, but Mach Punch will not do enough to KO Miltank. Hitmonchan defies those odds and gets a crit with Mach Punch, even through paralysis for the KO, and thus all 8 gym leaders have now been defeated. That, however, is not the end of Kanto Gym Leader Castle. Now I have to fight the ultimate trainer in Gen 2, Red. A man with a powerful vocabulary and known for many words like ... I know, a very emotional speaker. What I find baffling is that he doesn't have Pikachu, his ace Pokemon, in either round 1 or 2. Instead, in round 2, he has the 3 legendary beasts, Dragonite, Snorlax, and Espeon. Snorlax and Espeon make sense as he has those 2 in the main games. Dragonite is a high level evolution in Gen 1, so I guess that makes sense too. Anyways, Red leads with Espeon, and I lead Voltorb to do another Mirror Coat against the incoming Psychic. I blow up against the Snorlax, and now I go to Heracross. I use Endure against the convenient hidden power flying from Snorlax to get to 1 HP and reversal it to death, along with dodging a Quick Claw. Dragonite is last, which is good since I have Lapras to beat it. However, I decided to be funny and went in a different way. Instead of letting Heracross faint, I go to Lapras on the hidden power fighting. I stay in and take another one to get off what I wanted to use originally, Perish Song. Dragonite KOs Lapras next turn, and now I need to survive for 2 more turns. I Endure again to stay alive, and now 1 turn remains. Endure now has a 50% chance to work, otherwise I will lose. I end up winning the 50-50, and Dragonite goes down to Perish Song. Was Red defeated? No! Gym Leader Castle is complete. With the Cups and Gym Leader Castle complete, round 2 is now done, right? Wrong. There's one more fight left to win. After both modes are complete for round 1 and 2, you have to battle the final boss, Rival, aka Silver. Honestly, I wish Red was the ultimate fight instead of Silver because he's more of a final boss than Silver in the main games, but whatever, it's not a big deal. Anyways, remember that Mewtwo battle in Stadium 1 when you have to bring 6 Pokemon against 1 Mewtwo? This fight is basically the same Mewtwo fight, but you also have to fight Ho-Oh and Lugia as well. Just like round 2 Mewtwo in Stadium 1, all 3 legendaries have perfect stats. So how do you beat Silver? Well, it's actually quite simple. I have access to the rentals from Pineco for this fight, so I could just use the same counter and Mirror Coat Pokemon to win. Haunter is useless because it is too slow to activate Destiny Bond, so I'll have to use Self-Destruct as my secondary source of damage. So, let's begin this final fight. I lead Hitmonchan versus Rival's Lugia, and I could just counter as long as I don't get crit, which I didn't. Ho-Oh revenge kills and I go Corsola and Mirror Coat it. Despite being quite effective, Giga Drain doesn't KO Corsola, so Ho-Oh goes down too. Mewtwo revenge kills, and after a crit and King's Rock flinch dodge, Voltorb gets the last Mirror Coat of the playthrough for the win. If anything goes wrong, Wobbuffet, Graveler, and Aerodactyl are in the back to get some necessary damage. And that's how you beat the Rival. With the Rival defeated, Pokémon Stadium 2, Round 2 is now officially complete. And once you beat the Rival, you unlock a long cast roll of all 251 Pokemon, which is very cute and accompanied by some good music. After that, you get a very cool end credits, with many pictures of the Kanto and Johto Gym Leaders, Elite Four, Lance, Red, Silver, and even Crystal battling each other. Crystal is there because this game was released on the same day Pokemon Crystal was released. This really shows how much care and effort they put into this game. With that said, that concludes the Pokemon Stadium Round 2 playthrough. Overall, while I still prefer Stadium 1 due to nostalgia reasons, this game still means a lot to me for being exactly what I wanted from a sequel to my first Pokemon game. The difficulty, while brutal, is the main reason I keep coming back to these games. It can be tough, but rewarding if you overcome it. It's also just fun seeing these cool animations, hearing the announcer talk for hours, and laughing at how lucky or unlucky I can get from these fights. The minigames are definitely as good as the original, so that's definitely a bonus. Do I still recommend playing these games with rentals? Heck no! Once again, these games were meant to be played with transfer teams. But at the same time, it's more manageable to beat this game with rentals in Stadium 1. There's less RNG, and the infinite continue glitch does save a lot of time from the cups, making them easier to play through. Plus you have access to better moves like counter and Mirror Coat than relying on Thunder in every single fight to win. I still chose rentals because it's how I wanted to continue playing the Stadium games. Plus, even if you use transfer teams, you still have to use given rentals during Challenge Cup. What I got from this playthrough is that despite the difficulty being easier for me, I had a harder time getting footage for this playthrough. The save data loss really tested my patience toward this game and getting this video out. There was a point of time where I was just ready to cancel the playthrough and the video, but I'm very glad I pushed myself enough to replay and complete Stadium 2. Even with the challenges I faced, I'm very glad I got to play this game after all these years of only seeing it. I'm also very glad that these games have been getting attention again. Stadium 1 released on Nintendo Switch Online back in April 12th this year, and Stadium 2 will get a release there soon too. Unfortunately, both games do not have transfer pack support, and RBY and GSC aren't in Nintendo Switch Online. So the only way to beat these games is by using the rentals like I have been doing. I understand that it can be too difficult for people to want to attempt it, but these two videos I have now made prove that these rentals are capable of beating the Stadium games. Also, with Stadium 2 complete, is there anywhere else to go from here? No, sadly. After Stadium 2, there hasn't been another Stadium game. Sure, games like Coliseum, XD Gale, Darkness, and Battle Revolution use the same ideas where you can transfer teams from Gen 3 and 4 over to their respective games, but these are not Stadium games. They are their own Pokemon games with different stories and different content. The only things they have in common are some battle simulations and 3D models from Stadium to the Gens 1 and 2 Pokemon. Otherwise, this is sadly the end of my Stadium journey. It was fun while it lasted though. Okay, I think it is time to finally end the video here. So, thank you, the viewer, for watching this video. I spent a lot of time working on the script, voice recordings, and video editing to get this video made, and I would really appreciate any feedback on what I can improve to make these type of videos better in the future. This is my second time doing a big video like this, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the first Stadium video I made back in August last year. I would also appreciate a like, sub, and nice comment as well. None of these cost anything too, but of course none of these are obligations or necessary for you to do. It's just an option to consider. Also, I have the VODs for this playthrough right here on this playlist that you can watch if you like. I have all my Twitch VODs here too, so if you'd like to see any of them, I'd appreciate that too. With all this said, this has been Ludu, or Ludicolo, and I'll be seeing you guys next time on whatever video I work on next. Take care of yourselves, and have a great rest of your time zone wherever you are.
Okay, that was a long ride to complete Stadium 2, but I'd say I made the right choice to replay this game. It's sad that there's nowhere else to go now with these games, but it's okay. I had a great run despite all the struggles I went through. Now, to put these games away for years until I want to replay them again. Okay, I'm bored now. Let me go watch some Pokemon Stadium gameplay on YouTube. Maybe if there's something new there. Pokemon Stadium. Okay, not much. How about some Kanto Gym Leader Castle stuff? That's always the best content. Pokemon Stadium can't... What? Wait. Pokemon Stadium... Kaizo? What? No. There's no way that's a thing. Stadium is already hard enough. How can there be a Pokemon Stadium Kaizo? Wait. It's made by... Sinister Hooded Figure. Oh, I've heard of that guy. He makes the hardest Pokemon ROM hacks ever. Well, if he's the creator of this game, then it's not going to be an easy game to beat. But, do I even bother with it? I've completed my Stadium journey, and this is just a ROM hack. It's not necessary for me to attempt playing this game. I'm done with Pokemon Stadium forever. Or am I? Pokemon Stadium Kaizo? I'm coming for you.